everyone! Welcome to the show! Come on, Minifigures,
I couldn't wait.
let me do the talking first. Then we'll do the celebration. It is, of course, everyone, welcome to the Southeast Asia Region Challenger Series summer right now season. After all, it is sunny outside and it's summer in our game as well. And of course, guys, you might be wondering, why do we have these silly hats on? Why do we have these awesome decorations? Good question, and I'll give you the answer. It is because Guns of Boom has its second birthday. Let's put on the confetti.
Time all around
Let's
the board.
do it.
2 years
Mine's
of
not working.
super exciting stuff.
That's a sad whimper.
Okay, not happening, unfortunately for him, but luckily for us, 2 years around the board for Guns of Boom, and of course, plenty of action has happened already for us. As you already mentioned, May 18th, Summer Split is beginning, so we'll have new teams hopefully on our screens, as well as already established ones, and hopefully there's going to be plenty of action yet again, provided by ourselves, myself, V, and of course, Sir Danny in the studios. I hope everyone is having a good time, and we'll have probably a quick look back as well as how we've actually gotten here in a brief moment. But before that, I must say I'm super excited for the new matches today.
The new matches, the new teams, because after all, this is the start of the season, which means that the teams will have to start things up from zero. The points have been reset, which means that everyone can, this is probably the best chance you have at actually competing here at Guns of Boom, because this is a fresh start. This is where teams like Cyclone GG, Indian Wolves, they all have a fresh start. Thus, you could actually compete with these folks, and you might just have yourself a pretty good opportunity now throughout the 7-week journey to get yourself a spot in the Pro Series Finals.
And I mean, this as well is going to be super important for a lot of teams because you can now essentially get a very good early lead. Also, the point system has slightly been adjusted in terms of for that third and fourth position. They don't really get the same amount of points anymore, so therefore those placement matches are also going to matter in the longer run. So, and of course, all of these teams are competing for the chance of getting into that Cologne event, because for Brazil, we pretty much have things established.
Yeah, for Brazil, things have been established, and we can actually even take a look at the standings of our spring season, how it ended. It wasn't too long ago that we still got to cast the 7th and final week, and as we do see, Cyclone GG, dominant performance for them, sitting at a very comfortable 650 points.
Yeah, the second place was taken by Indian Wolves. They finished off with 475 points, and closely followed by Unkilled, who managed to narrow that point difference down to only 50 points, hence sitting at 425. Fourth place, you actually see a new name there, Hypersonic. So those are the prestigious guys that we saw previously, and they've taken up a new name for them. Hopefully a new name means a new start, as previously they had a quite dominant performance in terms of getting that fourth position, but hopefully they'll be able to climb higher this season. As for the fifth, that is still, oh my god, it's J007, which during our streams we actually didn't get to witness a match from them, but who knows, perhaps today might be the day when we will see them on our screens.
Yeah, that's definitely possible, because right now, if I recall correctly, I think there have been about, let me think, 18 teams that have registered. This is the biggest amount thus far we have seen teams actually register, because, the last couple of weeks, the 6th, the 7th week, we have been seeing teams, registering and whatnot, but primarily it has been like the top teams that have registered, and they still want to keep their, high seed up there. It has been like the Cyclones, the prestigious and of course, that was a weird way to end it. Unkilled and whatnot. These are the top teams after all, and that is one of the main reasons why they've continued on playing throughout the entirety of the spring season.
So, and yes, and finishing off on spring season, Cyclone GG did qualify for Brazil. So just a quick reminder for you guys as well. Let's have a look and see who else is going to be attending the Brazil event and how Cyclone GG might play up against them. So from the very top, we see the European region is going to be represented by Lazarus and Dust2 Esports. Now, Lazarus have been a very, very strong team, and also same goes, of course, for Dust2 Esports. Moving on to NA, Danny?
Yeah, of course, we have Impact Gaming and Enix, the two finalists of the last Pro Series finals that happened in Texas. So, obviously, the NA representation is actually looking very strong. Impact Gaming have proven themselves to be a very strong adversary, and Enix as well. I mean, they were, in fact, the finalists of the last Pro Series event. So, who knows? Maybe they will also have themselves a good track record here in the Pro Series Brazil.
And towards the bottom, we do see Brazucas from Latin America representing that region. And of course, I already previously mentioned Cyclone GG, the Southeast Asia region. So this is pretty much the teams that are going to battle it out in Brazil. Between of them, again, that is going to be on the 8th of June, if anyone is interested, and definitely you guys should be, because I mean, if you want to see top tier Guns of Boom play and probably see things that you have never seen before, then you need to watch this event.
And of course, that's pretty much the case. Not only watch the event, but if you are in Brazil or a nearby vicinity, why not head on over to Brazil and give it yourself a shot to actually witness a live esports event? And let me tell you, folks, those are very exciting. When you have the crowd nearby you, your fellow members of the community as you roar when you see your favorite team succeeding, that is very exciting, folks. And I definitely recommend you. If you're not going to be able to come to this event, we will still have another Pro Series event that will be taking place on August. That is, of course, going to be for teams that will have the highest seeds here in the Summer Series.
Yeah, exactly. So that event is going to be Pro Series Germany. And I mean, we'll probably get to Pro Series Germany in a small while. I think let's have a look at the brackets first, though, and see what first matches we're going to see today, as there is a bit of a delay happening. So at least we know the first pair who's going to battle it out, and then afterwards we'll see who joins them. So we're going to see Indian Wolves actually going head-to-toe against Cyclone GG, none other. Again, these two have had a lengthy history during their spring season, and now in the summer, it might be a super fresh start for Indian Wolves, as I mean, they've been on the backtrack of Cyclone GG for such a long time, and now, as we already said before, like having this fresh start, having that first opportunity of grabbing those first points over the other, and especially that they're still meeting in the semifinals, not in the finals, this already sets up a scenario where one of the teams will be on the backhand.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting because, you know, these two teams have played so many games here in Guns of Boom. Primarily, it has been, you know, Indian Wolves. Whenever they end up facing a team like Cyclone GG, they end up losing it. I do believe they did win one of the best of fives.
Yes.
That was only once. Throughout its 7 weeks period, winning only one best of five, I mean, that's not a very good track record, but it only proves how a team like Cyclone GG is so powerful, so great in this game that they can hardly be toppled.
Well, I mean, there's still a huge potential for a lot of upsets right now. Of course, still also a huge question, which will be the other pair that there's going to play today again, because whoever loses between these two teams now, Indian Wolves and Cyclone GG, they fall down to the 3rd and 4th place battle.
That's true.
And therefore, they are not even looking at those 100 or 75 points, meaning that whoever is going to end up facing them, they also have a huge task in front of them in terms of looking to see how these first standings will play out. So all in all, a very exciting thing. There also has been another change in terms of how the map pool is being played. So this week we are still going to see the same maps that we saw previously, but to my understanding, starting from the next one, we are actually going to convert to a new format, which is a map rotation based, meaning that every week there's going to be different maps that are going to be played. And again, this also sets up a different type of scenario for this split, as obviously in the summer split, having the map rotations, meaning that every single week you need to prepare for different scenarios, and different scenarios against different teams. That's already a lot to think about for these teams in terms of how they need to approach it. And I think this will really show which maps are the stronger maps for each team and which ones are not so good. And therefore, again, looking forward the future, if you are going to be in that best of five scenario for each team, it's going to also be a more predictable scenario as to how the overall match is going to go. And I think this does set up a scenario where either team needs to really think about how they will counterplay their opponents. Because if previously it was a set rotation of the maps, you pretty much already knew what was going to happen. And now having these new refreshments, I think this really opens things up strategy-wise for these teams.
It sure does. We can now definitely see, you know, some of these teams having something like a better map pool, because primarily, in the third, fourth, and of course in the grand final as well, you pretty much have the same maps coming into play. But now, with a map rotation coming into play, we might see, these sort of narratives where maybe there's a team that is very good on Paradise Island, and with them having, such great success in something like King of the Hill game mode, maybe they will also have, Paradise Island something in the grand finals. If they will have such a map in the grand finals coming into play, then they might just have themselves a much better chance of securing a best-of-5 win.
Yeah, so that first map is going to be today again Paradise Island. So for Paradise Island, talking between Cyclone GG and Indian Wolves. Now, it's pretty much said and already seen that both of these teams like to play the map super aggressively. Do you think they're going to still continue with that trend? Do you think they really want, like, either team wants to, like, set the pace for the match and just force the other one to sort of try to follow up on that? Or do you think they're going to play in terms of just getting that safe amount of points in the lead, and then afterwards they're just going to be like, okay, let's just see what you guys do, and then counterplay that?
Well,
I mean, obviously we'll just need to wait and see. My hat is falling off.
Oh, give
Okay,
it better
there we
fix
go.
that. Oh, that's looking much better. But yeah, in all fairness speaking, it's quite hard to say. I would say that if you have a play style that has been working out for you throughout the entirety of the spring season, why not continue playing it? I mean, thus far, the aggressive playstyle has been working out pretty well here for the Southeast Asia region, so I don't really see any reason why they shouldn't continue on with the aggressive plays, because it is also quite important to not only say have control of the control point. For sure, in a King of the Hill game mode, you do need to secure the control point to garner up them points. However, it is also a pretty important thing to actually acquire map presence. With you having more map presence, you will be able to hold some pretty good angles, and you will be able to stop the aggressive plays from your opponents, or in general, not even the aggressive plays, but the pushes that end up happening on the side. So it's very important for teams to actually have this aggressive play style as it dwindles down the clock for the opponents.
Yeah, and I mean, on Paradise Island as well, we didn't really mention this, but for those who are perhaps joining in just now or haven't really seen Guns of Boom before, on Paradise Island there are also a lot of flank opportunities. So just to get like a general map control, it's really difficult because you also need to control these pathways. This means that you might potentially split it up and thus opening opportunities for your opponent. So like Paradise Island is a tricky one. It could actually bite you back in the backside if you're not too careful. And thus, I mean, by flanks or by giving too many opportunities for the opposing team. So hopefully the players are joining the server soon enough here, as we are still waiting for the game to start. But do you actually dare to make any predictions about this match? Because I think it's really a 50-50 scenario. I don't think anyone has the upper hand now, especially like with the scenario of the fresh start.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree with you, Venefecos, and you know why? I'll tell you this, Cyclone
Tell me
GG,
why.
they are a great team. In fact, they've been playing so well, they've racked up 650 points last spring season. I don't even see a reason why you should doubt them.
Okay, so you're saying that Cyclone GG is going to be a super dominant force here.
I'm going with the Cyclone
I'm
GG
saying
train.
we have Paradise Island on our screen, so let's see how this plays out between the two, and let's find out which one of us, is right. As we see, the first players are already on the map here, and the first shots are being fired. Heisenberg on that flank, but it's going to be Exorder actually making that first strike on the capture point, and it goes instantly in favor of Cyclone GG here, but the return fire coming in from Indian Wolves very quickly, overtaking the capture point and the point lead, and this has started with a blast here.
This is looking pretty solid right now for the Indian Wolves roster. Even though there's a lot of exchange happening here at the control point, we are seeing a bit of a flank taking place, but it's not succeeding thus far. Cyclone GG, they have lost themselves some of these players for sure, but they are going to be taking the CP.
And Hope is back, does open things up with that first Blade Master before there as well. Ghost with the first G-Launcher. This Challenger split as now still Indian Wolves 20 points in front, and Hope is back on that capture point, needs to stick there. That G-Launcher deals good enough damage, but Exorder still left standing there, as only now Ghost able to take him out, and Blaze of course as well, a man we all know too well with that shotgun, that helpful friend he always carries around with him. So far pretty close match coming out here. Blaze even finds Ghost on that flank as Exorder finds another one. It's backwards and forwards here.
Oh,
Ravi does come out on top in that one. Still, Cyclone GG have overtaken the lead, and oh my god, an explosion from Heisenberg there. really helps the situation out.
Yeah, the flanks right now that are coming in there from the seabed. Very important stuff here for either team to control. Indian Wolves thus far have been very successful with their aggressive plays. However, they're not getting all the control point. In fact, they're not able to succeed it thus far. They are able to find the eliminations, which is great and all, but someone needs to get into the CP. Blade Masters coming in from Hope, but right now it's Indian Wolves taking over the A point.
Yeah, you can see Skilled as well in the meantime did overcapture that point right now as Cyclone GG are looking to regroup here. Hope is back, might be in a lot of trouble here, needs to run away, and another player emerges right in front of him. That is Blaze, who gets taken down very quickly. And his teammate realizes he can't do much here alone. He needs to regroup together. Now Heisenberg coming in with Gunner, finding two players on the capture point here, looking to recapture it as well as Hope is back, making a desperate attempt. It was on elimination streak, but an instant combo breaker coming out from Exorder here in favor of Cyclone GG. Still, the points are the same.
The points do remain the same, but it is, of course, taken in favor of Cyclone GG. They have now passed the 600 mark. And thus far, things are looking up for them, but there's Ghost coming in with a bit of a flank. He does find the elimination with the Barracuda. That is quite important, but there's Blaze and Heisenberg. Some good eliminations being found by the Cyclone GG players, but thus far, Indian Wolves in a good position to retake the control point.
Even the double elim coming out in favor for Indian Wolves as Blaze does find Skilled with the Blade Master somewhere around the map. You can see he tried to go for a double up, but of course Hope is back, brings the Hope back to his team as he'll be able to take care of that situation. A bit of a hectic moment right now as both teams are looking to regroup. Heisenberg, very good attempt there. Unfortunately, didn't get to pass Skilled, who's currently with that Blade Master and the double elimination, was able to secure quite a lot of points for Indian Wolves. And it does look like that Indian Wolves might run away with the victory here unless Cyclone GG can clear them out right now. But Blaze continuously finding himself alone on these capture points.
Yeah, this is looking kind of difficult for the Cyclone GG side. Right now, it is Indian Wolves almost on the brink of securing themselves the 1,000 points. That's all they need to get themselves the victory here. And the Blade Master coming in from Exorder. And I don't think the Indian Wolves roster will be giving this one up that easily. They are making the attempts here to push. However, Cyclone GG, they're getting the necessary points right now.
1 minute, even less than that on the clock here for Cyclone GG to overtake the lead right now. And it might actually happen with these eliminations right now. Only 10 more points and Cyclone GG run away with the victory. In the last seconds, Cyclone GG just steal it away with the point capture and a few eliminations on top.
The last couple of points there, you know, they were very close to getting themselves the victory there, because Indian Wolves had it in the bag. They could almost taste it, but Cyclone GG do take it away here in our very first map of our very first series at the Summer Challenger Series.
So, of course, huge congratulations to Cyclone GG for opening things up in this best of three. Of course, there are still more maps to be played between these two. For Indian Wolves as well, I must say that, I mean, they've put up such a good attempt here as well. Holding the lead pretty much throughout the continuation of the match. I think Cyclone GG came close probably like only 2 times in terms of actually being able to overtake the point lead for, well, basically by just like 20-30 points or so. And then, of course, the eliminations would come through. I think one of the crucial issues that Cyclone GG had throughout the continuation of the match was their solo attempts of recapturing the point. You saw Blaze a couple of times going for that capture point where there really were no teammates close by.
Yeah.
And obviously he was just running into situations where there were 2 opponents on him constantly, so therefore he really didn't have the opportunities of eliminating them quick enough or recapturing that point safely as well. Very early on, a lot of explosions were put down on the ground because obviously you really want to give your team that head start. And I like how Indian Wolves were actually able to very quickly, within like the first 20 seconds or so, come back from those initial eliminations. Cyclone GG did, and actually overtake them and start to rack up the points in their favor.
What we have seen primarily, even, that's what I'd like to say, Indian Wolves, they've been very proficient in their flanking ability. We even saw a lot of the opportunities when they were able to get up behind the opponents and find themselves some of those easy eliminations, which is very important on a map like Paradise Island.
Yeah, so let's have a look at the MVPs though and see which people stand out in this summer split here. For the side of Indian Wolves, it is going to be Skilled, sitting at 260 points, 13 eliminations, 12 assists, and 11 deaths. So I mean, that's just a beast of a job done from Skilled right there. And on the side of Cyclone GG, it's actually Exorder who stood out here with 234 points, 13 eliminations as well. 8 assists, still a very notable account. And of course, as you see, slightly more deaths. There's 13 of those. So for the side of Cyclone GG, super good start. I mean, definitely I thought that Indian Wolves will be able to hold on till the very end there. But of course, looking forward now, the Indian Wolves side need to start to think about what are they going to do on the old factory map.
And I think one of the things we can touch on is that the Indian Wolves roster have a new player. It is, of course, Skilled, who used to play for Unkilled and is now part of Indian Wolves.
Yeah.
That is actually a very nice pickup, as after all, this is the player who was one of the highest rated individuals in the spring season. He was up there with the other players from Cyclone GG, so to see him in this, like, the second best team right now, that is a fine pickup if you ask me.
I mean, they've obviously are looking to create a powerhouse of their own, and it really seems to work in terms of playing against Cyclone GG that previously, well, they've already established that they are going to be in Brazil. So for Indian Wolves, knowing that they can go head-to-head against a team that has already made it so far, this does mean also a serious morale boost. So I am not going to disregard Indian Wolves just yet. I am still going to say that this is a 50-50 best of 3, and even though you said Cyclone GG is going to be a dominant force, I think actually the Indian Wolves might come out on top of this in this best of 3.
You're saying a 2-1 right now for
Yeah,
Indian Wolves.
I'm saying Indian Wolves are going to take this with a 2-1 victory. I think this Paradise Island was just stress, fluke. I mean, they had the lead. They had everything until the last seconds. They were just slightly unlucky.
Yeah, I guess you could put it to luck, or you could put it to skill. And I think that even though Skilled played very well in that matchup, he was the MVP for a very fine reason, it is still important to note that Cyclone GG, they have the best players from the Southeast Asia region, and thus far, they haven't really been contested. Maybe this is going to be the season. Could be the split where, a team like Cyclone GG might get finally toppled by Indian Wolves, and I think if anyone's going to do it, it probably is Indian Wolves.
Well, for Indian Wolves, yeah, I completely agree on that one, but another topic interesting for discussion is that Indian Wolves now picking up a new player. A lot does come down in terms of how this new player fits into their overall system, what sort of roles they have, as well as the fact that how they just the human factor in the match, right? You still have to communicate with the team. So if you are a new member, I mean, and if you generally don't know these guys, you're going to feel at least slightly uncomfortable in certain situations. But in the meantime, though, we have Old Factory being launched on our screens. Excuse me, the little string here. I think it popped.
Oi.
I don't know. Something hit me in the face, but hopefully Old Factory can bring us a different story here. As I already said, I hope Indian Wolves can take this to map number 3. You are probably hoping for those Cyclone GG victory, are you?
I'm thinking that's going to be the case, but it won't be happening soon enough. Looks like we have some sort of issues here, folks, but don't worry. Our team of amazing admins will get the fix here as soon as possible, but I guess we could actually even touch upon really quickly on a map like Old Factory. It is, after all, Team Deathmatch,
yes.
But as we have seen, these game modes, especially in Team Deathmatch, they're also quite close.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Skilled now on Paradise Island was able to put up 13 eliminations in Cyclone GG as well, as in terms of the MVPs of the match. So for a team deathmatch mode, it's super crucial that both of these teams know how to get these eliminations, know how to find the opportunities, but most importantly, to survive afterwards. Because, like, getting an elimination and then afterwards being taken away from the match, as in terms of you actually being eliminated, doesn't really bring you much to the table, right? You need to have the follow-ups. You need the double eliminations. You need the triples, of course.
True.
And being on an elimination streak, and then afterwards, if you are the player on the elimination streak, it's very important that you don't find yourself eliminated. Otherwise, you'll give away that combo breaker bonus.
That's true, because that's how you want to approach Team Deathmatch. You want to try to have one of these players, a star player, I guess we could call him, who ends up finding the necessary eliminations, double eliminations. Streaks are even better than that, because with the streaks coming into play, that's going to be extra points for a team. And with those extra points, I mean, it's important to note, Team Deathmatch only lasts for about 500 points. It's not your control points where you have 1,200. It's not your King of the Hill with 1,000. Team Deathmatch can be over quite quickly if you don't have yourself some good momentum to work with.
Yeah, that's also something that I wanted to say. Like, team deathmatches tend to be a lot faster than the timer is, just because, like, I mean, there's no real point of playing it down to the timer. It just brings up more pressure. So you want to just have continuous eliminations, of course, on your side. That's just purely logical. But also on Old Factory, we've talked about this in the last season as well. But just in general, in the last split, excuse me. Usage of the elevated surfaces, right? So, I mean, we see teams rarely do this, but when they do, most of the time they find quite good success in terms of that. So I think that establishing control over that middle part of the map, like being on that elevated surface, looking down on your opponent, is going to mean quite a lot. You're continuously looking at my hat. Is it?
It's a funky looking hat. Though, it's pretty good now. Just leave it there. I can even picture it. Yeah, it looks very nice.
Do you want to adjust it for me, please?
Sure thing, buddy. There we go. Oh, no, it's falling apart. That looks perfect.
Bueno.
Now, yeah. Okay, let's leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, I definitely agree with you when talking about Team Deathmatch and the elevated surface on a map like Old Factory, because with Old Factory, having that elevated surface in middle, you are able to have easier flanks on your opponents, because if you're able to jump down, you can get very easily outflank your opponents and get some of those easy eliminations, and even better, Blade Masters.
Blade Masters, of course, and also, I just thought of this, but like, in general, that's still vision for your team, right? So as long as if you act, even if you don't necessarily need to engage into those battles, you can also act as a scout.
Yeah, that's also a possibility.
So, like, you could just give shout-outs, hey, there are 3 people flanking on the right side right now, be careful. Otherwise, we might lose a hell of a lot of points. But, speaking of a lot of points, hopefully we'll be going live with this map. As we see, there's actually already the first action happening. Blaze has opened things up with that first strike, but very quickly Ghost has followed up with 2 eliminations of his own there, and very quickly giving the 40-point lead for the Indian Wolves side here. Gunner looking to retaliate, but of course Hope is back, bringing the Hope back to Indian Wolves very quickly, and now with those flanks, the G-Launchers, Exorder and Heisenberg both find one. Oh my god, that was close quarters and scary.
That was way too close for comfort, and yet Cyclone GG, they do come out on top. I didn't even know how Blaze even got to that position, but here, this is quite back and forth affair. But I must note, Cyclone GG, some of the players have now been taken down, but they have respawned with full health. And as we do see from the Indian Wolves side, not all of these players even have the armor to work with.
Blaze on the flank here. He's going to find Ravi. Ravi needs to turn around quickly. Groans for that Blade Master, but doesn't do it. In the meantime, Heisenberg takes care of Ghost and Skilled. That's a double elimination for Cyclone GG. Hope is back, will be able to find Heisenberg there, but is not able to add any more value to that, as Indian Wolves very quickly finding those eliminations and looking to not give away too much of a lead to Cyclone GG. Ravi ready, looking at his health, a slightly questionable move there, but nonetheless, damage dealt still is damage dealt. 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock here for us, as Cyclone GG are looking to engage yet again.
We are seeing the Cyclone GG players finding some very good eliminations right now. The G-Launcher does come in, but it does miss Gunner at the end. As we do see Cyclone GG have themselves a pretty comfortable lead by this point. It is over 50 points working out for them. We do see Hope is back there with the Barracuda. He does find one of these eliminations. There's Hope again, taking down Blaze. This is still quite good here for Indian Wolves. The aggression has worked out for them in the very early stages here, but they can't slow down. They have to commit to some of these plays and bring back the favor for their side.
Exactly as you said. Ghost and Skilled opening things up for Indian Wolves. Now Hope is back, is able to follow up on that, and very quickly Indian Wolves now have the initiative on this map, and they absolutely need to take it away, otherwise they will be out here from this first best of 3 down to that 3rd, 4th place bracket. So for Hope is back, it's crucial to stay alive, but Skilled unfortunately has been found by Heisenberg. And Gunner also now quickly following up on that does mean that Cyclone GG are slowly crawling back with those points. Blaze now with the Blade Master, and will be surprised by Skilled, who was closely following him, able to trade instantly. This is a very close match right now. It's still 2 minutes on the clock, 350 points for either side right now, and Exorder might find a lot of trouble.
At this point, if you're Cyclone GG, it would make sense to play this one a bit more safe. Look at the flurry of frags that have now worked out here for the Indian Wolves roster. It has been 3 for them, and now we do see there's some passive play coming in from both of these teams. You have to be quite careful there, Exor. There's a player right behind you, and he won't get Ghost. That's going to be a pretty good elimination from him, but there's the Blade Master. They have put things back in their favor, Cyclone GG, but again, they must be careful. Hope is here in the corner. He will be going down, but where's the backup? Hope has no backup and no hope in that situation.
And Skilled here as well, looking to heal up, going for those long-distance engagements. They're not going to go in his favor as Heisenberg finds yet another elimination, and it's pretty much all or nothing right now for Indian Wolves. They need to make a group effort here right now to completely wipe Cyclone GG and steal the victory here, or otherwise it's just not simply going to happen. Ravi Reddy finding 2 eliminations of his own. Still, Heisenberg does take him down. Actually found the 3rd there as well, as there's still only 15 points that Cyclone GG need to obtain, and of course Indian Wolves right now being more passive about this, looking for those long-distance engagements as they don't really want to trade very quickly. There might be a potential flank here happening as Hope is back. Will find Gunner by the Exorder, will close things out, and that is going to be it. Actually, Cyclone GG will run away with the victory here in a 2-0 fashion, and a very quick one at that as well.
What did I tell you? Cyclone GG are the best team here. They are the best team, and that's what they secured themselves a 2-0 victory here,
I'm going to write it down.
You can write it down.
Cyclone GG is the better team. There we go.
They are the better team. That's what they do, secure themselves a victory here at the semifinals, but I will give you this. It was a pretty close affair here between the two teams. It wasn't as close as they might have hoped for, but at the end of it all, they definitely showed some great promise here, Indian Wolves.
I mean, around the 4-minute mark, when the points were about 410 for Indian Wolves, 440 for Cyclone GG. For Indian Wolves in that situation, I mean, they can still wait until Cyclone GG get to like 450, 60 points, and then afterwards it's like all in for them. So like either you group up and jump in together as a team and get a full wipe of Cyclone GG, and potentially having the chance of you still could lose 1, even 2 members in that situation. As long as you clean up, it's fine. Or as you saw, they tried to go for those long-distance engagements, sort of playing the safe game style, but it does mean that if you are not doing exchanges that go in your favor, thus in this situation would be in favor of Indian Wolves, then you are losing it out in the longer run, because the time is running out and you need to add more risks. And if, God forbid, if Cyclone GG in that situation he finds even 1 more extra elimination, if they go like in a head-on collision, then it still favors Cyclone GG. Slightly difficult perhaps, but hopefully you got the idea. Let's have a look at the MVPs though and see who really stood out in this team deathmatch mode. I would be surprised to see actually, Indian Wolves side, at least Hope is back, bringing things to the table with 126 points, 9 eliminations and 3 assists. And of course, for Cyclone GG, none other than Mr. Heisenberg.
Yes, Heisenberg has had a stellar game thus far, 13 eliminations, 2 assists, and 7 deaths. Of course it was, even though we do see a pretty big disparity here between the two MVPs, what we have seen in this game is that these two teams, they played it very close. They played it very close on the first map, Paradise Island. They played it very close here in Old Factory. Imagine a couple of eliminations go here for one team, say Indian Wolves. This could even be a 2-0 victory for their roster.
All right, well, let's see at the brackets and see, do we have our second pair in the studio right now as to find out who's going to battle it out with who in the next match. So it's actually going to be Unkilled going up against Never Quit.
Oh, that's a new name.
That is indeed a new name on our screens. This does mean that there is a lot of potential for upsets. Unkilled, I will remind you, they finished in the 3rd position last split. So for Never Quit, actually, I haven't noticed that name before as well. If this is the first time they've made it so far, that might be that they could potentially go even up against Cyclone GG. And for Cyclone GG as well would be then interesting, probably same as for Unkilled right now. What is this team? How do they play? How do they approach the game? Can we win them? How do we counter them? And so on, and so many questions that we still have yet to find answers for, and we will find in a very short manner.
I do believe one of the reasons why we do have this new team coming into play is because in the quarterfinals, it was Unkilled who played against ex-prestigious roster Hypersonic. So I guess that's one of the main reasons why we do have, this
Yes.
new name coming into play. And of course, if Unkilled is here, they obviously did win their quarterfinal matchup. But this new team, I wonder, is this just a fluke or are they actually pretty fine in this game?
Well, I mean, nobody makes it so far on a fluke basis usually. So this would be a very unprecedented result in terms of if that wouldn't be deserved. But I guess Unkilled will just have to show us what can they do against an unknown name. Now, again, they're going to start things on the Paradise Island map. And for the Unkilled roster, they've previously been known to actually group up first. So, like, they do like to stick together as a group. And then afterwards, they sprout out and look for those flanks. So, like, they like to capture the point and then afterwards control just the flank routes just to make sure that the opposing team cannot really make a group effort in terms of recapturing it. So I think they're probably going to stick with the same approach here as well.
I think that's a pretty good approach because, in all fairness, once you cap the control point in King of the Hill or control point,
Yeah, just make sure nobody can get to it.
yeah, you don't even really have to sit on the CP. All you have to do is just hold it from a different angle, maybe from one of the huts in Paradise Island. You don't have to sit on the point the whole time. That's unnecessary, folks, and don't do it yourselves. That is a fine game tip if I've ever gave one myself. In, say, a map like Paradise Island, though, it's important to note that, yes, you might just have yourself a pretty good angle to hold, make sure the CP isn't being taken over, but there's a very high possibility, if you're going to be hyper-focused on the control point not being captured, there's a good possibility of a flank.
Exactly, and flanks is something that you need to be always wary on this map because those are essentially the way how you find your way back into the match. So for Never Quit as well, I mean, it's super exciting to see how are they going to approach this game in terms of going up against the likes of Unkilled. Now, for the Unkilled games, I mean, knowing that they haven't been in the brackets before, like, it's probably something that they've done, at least I hope, in terms of they've watched the games of Unkilled in the past, because if they have fallen out in the previous brackets, then, I mean, realistically, they should know how Unkilled play and should have all the information necessary to counter that.
Damn, that is the great thing about our little stream here. You're able to gather the information about your opponents. Because a team like, the opponents that made it here to the semifinals, they've got a lot of learning material. They've known that a team like Unkilled has played so many matches right now throughout the 7 weeks of the spring series split. So they have the learning material. The question is, right now, shall they use it? Or, in fact, have they even learned here? Because I don't really think that they were anticipating to even make it here to the semis.
Well, it's actually like another two-way scenario here. From one perspective, you can go for those counter plays very early on and just essentially just play against whatever Unkilled do. Or in second, knowing that this is the very beginning of this current split right now, there is still plenty of room for error. So they can experiment and they can try and set their own pace of the game, not necessarily go for a counter play, but just try to play by their own rules and really sort of push Unkilled's roster into that scenario where Unkilled feel pressured in terms of, all right, we need to do something about this because it's getting out of hand, right? So if Never Quit can do that, I think for the Unkilled roster, that's going to be even more stress in terms of, oh my god, we've just started, we have a new team in front of us, we really don't know what to do right now, we are currently losing the points, how can we come back into this, and like, that sort of situations, right?
Yeah, it should be quite interesting here, and we will see it for ourselves. It is, of course, Paradise Island here, King of the Hill, as we're going to be starting things off here yet again on our very lovely map. Look at the beaches here in Paradise Island, and now we will see a lot of action here as the two teams right now going straight up here for the control point capture. It is going to be Moriarty on the point, as he should be able to secure it, and sure he does. There's Psychopath with the very first strike, and those eliminations are working out quite well here for Never Quit, as now AV can capture the control point.
Yeah, he's looking to capture the point there, and I mean, things started off in a super quick fashion. Now, after the reset, the Unkilled roster is going to be heading our way here, and AV needs to stay alive. He has just spotted Gunrag, but unfortunately Rakesh actually does take him out there. The lead G-Launcher was launched, didn't do enough damage, and the Defaulter now on the capture point, dancing around the pole, but Moriarty does come out on top there.
Yeah, right now we have Moriarty here on the point, but he should be outflanked anytime soon. The good thing right now is that he does have the backup of his own teammates, but as we do see Never Quit, they're falling like flies here. They're going to have to make a prominent effort here. The G-Launch, it misses completely, and that's going to be a control point right now for Never Quit.
Defaulter here even finds the follow-up right now. Psychopath finds an elimination as well, running around in that panda suit.
He's a madman! He's also on fire, and he's still going for these eliminations here. But now this is where the Unkilled roster, they have respawned, and oh, hello, AV going for a bit of aggressive push down the lane. But now we do see Unkilled. Yes, they are on the control point. They should be able to secure it for now. But as we do see Never Quit, they're putting up a pretty good fight.
I like that Rakesh has like a little line next to his name saying learning V2. Like, I don't think being on elimination streak still counts like learning. I think that you've already made it there in that situation. So far, Unkilled are leading by 100 points. Whilst Never Quit did have a very good start here, they have failed to follow up so far, but very quickly Psychopath finds a double elimination. That point capture is going to go in favor of Never Quit, and Moriarty making a desperate attempt, can't do anything. Lionheart launching the G-Launcher deals plenty of damage, but still not able to follow up. Defaulter will take care of Lionheart, and Rajput will be taken down by Gunrag there. So Rajput really did have a good angle. Unfortunately, it was unable to hold on to that long enough.
And now look at this, Unkilled. They have themselves a pretty significant lead. And instead of playing this one quite safe, the G-Launcher.
From the grave.
Yeah, the Mortidorm is there, and this is where, you know, I like this from Unkilled. Instead of simply standing there on the control point, they can now go for these aggressive plays. They have themselves a pretty good lead thus far, and they can only extend it.
They're looking to extend it as far as they could potentially can. Rakesh finding the elimination with the J-Launcher there as well, and they're looking to push back Never Quit into their own base, not to have any more opportunities. Already 140-point lead for the Unkilled roster here. Psychopath currently on the capture point, doesn't see anyone, but realizes that the players must be close by around the corner. Spots the first one right now as Rakesh is looking to take him down, and he will do so. AV is just simply too far to recapture the point, still in favor of his team, and Gunrag in the meantime is on elimination streak. So this is really starting to work out for Unkilled, and what looked like a shaky start seems to be a very solid finish right now for Unkilled.
That should pretty much be the case by this point, even though we have the Never Quit roster, you know, taking over the control point, which is nice and all.
Oh my god, look at the Psychopath. He hid behind the corner just to guarantee the flank, and this might be the downfall on Unkilled right now. Very quickly, the tides have changed as Gunrag will be found as well, and the capture point is still ticking in favor of Never Quit. So for Unkilled, this is make it or break it right now. They need to take care of Psychopath quickly, and he's found yet another elimination. Gunrag, turn around. The elimination streak for Psychopath is still there. What happened?
It's bad. It's really bad right now for Unkilled. Never Quit, just a couple more points, and they will secure themselves the victory, which they have, pretty much. Thank you, Psychopath. Without him, that would have been game over.
That was a play and a half from him. So as soon as they captured the point and found the elimination, Psychopath quickly ran forward to that left-hand side building and hid in a corner. He let the first player by, quickly eliminated him, and he heard that Gunrag was around the corner. So started to play around the corner and just continuously being a nuisance, not allowing these players to get back to the capture point, and of course having the backup from their team as well. Never Quit somehow came up on top of this, and just like off the back of a single play, just a small play like that, completely changes the tide of the game. And I must say, Never Quit have taken the first map.
That's why you never quit, folks. Even when you're losing,
exactly.
You still have the chance to get yourself the victory, and it just goes to show here, Psychopath, it's really important to be getting those eliminations, because in his position, not only did he find himself a couple of those eliminations, those were streaks, and with those streaks coming into play, those are extra points for the team.
Well, speaking about points, let's have a look at the MVPs. I do think that I know which name is going to pop up for the Never Quit side. That is indeed Psychopath. 303 points, ladies and gentlemen. 13 eliminations, 8 assists, and 10 deaths. And for the side of Unkilled,
it is, of course, Psychopath. 303.
Rakesh,
pardon me. Oh, and I see
Okay.
what you meant there.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have Rakesh here. 207 score. That is quite a good scoreline. But of course, Psychopath, like this was an amazing performance from him. 13 eliminations, 303 score. That is very much an MVP performance.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add enough as to he was the one who opened things up on this map. He got the first strike. He gave the opportunity for Never Quit. Then afterwards, together with their team, they went head to toe. Unkilled did seem that they have stabilized once they got that 140-point lead around the 3-minute mark, and then afterwards that single play just completely ruined Unkilled. And I think that the roster of Unkilled as well, they're gonna feel like they've been like someone robbed them.
Mm.
Like you've been robbed of a victory right there. Well, question is, will they check their corners better now?
I think they should, and they definitely must, because that was, I mean, in a world with they able to eliminate Psycho quick enough, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much map over in favor of the Unkilled roster, but we obviously saw, what can one player do in a game here of Guns of Boom here? With him having such a great performance, it was able to put his team in a winnable position.
And yeah, and like this wouldn't be so impactful if it would be a team deathmatch scenario as it is in this King of the Hill scenario, right? Because like in King of the Hill, it's still about control, whereas in team deathmatch, it's all about those eliminations. And I still props to Psychopath, who obviously put up a decent amount of limbs, but just the gravity of the decisions that these players make is more extensive in the and more punishing also in the King of the Hill scenario, because like you have that capture point ticking away constantly, and that's also constantly in your head, like you need to rush to the point. And that's also why one of the reasons why you see certain players sometimes make those desperate attempts, just like jumping onto the capture point alone, even though you really don't have your team behind you, just because like you need to stop those points ticking and might potentially like steal it away for a few moments and give your team a bit of breathing space.
Yeah, that's one of the ways you can definitely approach here, King of the Hill. But it's important to note that you can still gain points by finding these eliminations here. You can still able to put your team in a pretty winnable position by getting those eliminations. And in general, we saw, what was it, Psychopath with 303 score, I do believe. That's going to be pretty much a third of the entire points you can get throughout the King of the Hills. That is quite impressive. So it means that not only was he able to have an impactful performance with him finding, the control point capture, but he clearly did a fine job at finding the eliminations as well.
Right. Well, we know Psychopath is a psychopath on Paradise Island. Let's see if he is the same on Old Factory, or can Unkilled come up with some sort of a game plan in terms of how they will deal with Never Quit, who actually seem to never quit, as the name says. So, Old Factory, team deathmatch between Unkilled and Never Quit. So for Unkilled, they absolutely must take this map to have another chance of winning the series here. And very quickly, you can see Moriarty here is actually going to grab control over that elevated surface in the middle. And the first strike has been made by Gunrag on the left-hand side of the map. And Rakesh also able to follow up very quickly. Moriarty even finds AV. And it's almost a full wipe on the side of Never Quit. They have yet to find a point.
Yeah, thus far it has been a dominant performance here from the Unkilled players. The Falter, though, trying to find this elimination, but he won't be able to succeed thus far. It's in fact Psychopath to get the first elimination here for Never Quit. And it's already very nice to see that the Never Quit roster. Oh, yeah, the triple, of course, but the Never Quit roster, I like that they're going for the map presence, even though we didn't see that in the first matchup.
Indeed, well, for the Unkilled side, they've started off definitely in a very confident fashion. Now, finally, Never Quit have been able to put up these elims on the board, as both Rajput and AV have been able to find elims of their own. Rakesh, in the meantime, finds the perfect aim onto Psychopath, and very quickly as well, you can see instantly falls back just to make sure that he has enough time to pop those heals and find health back. Gunrag looking to pre-fire the G-Launcher there. Doesn't really connect, but still finds the elimination onto AV. And now things are starting to open up more for Never Quit, as both Psychopath and Defaulter find the eliminations. Rajput finds one as well. Psychopath with the perfect aim. And very quickly that point lead is starting to shrink, and Never Quit are looking to come back into this match as well. And they have plenty of time, still 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock here.
Yeah, there's still a decent amount of time here for a team like Never Quit to come back. The G-Launcher, though, it was right on their feet, but it won't connect. Thus far, Never Quit, they are being taken down at this point. A nice flank there from Rakesh and co. And here, Unkilled, they have themselves a significant lead, 120-point lead for them pretty much by this point, they don't even have to go for the eliminations. They have the lead. They can play this one safe and win themselves the game.
Well, Lionheart has different plan in mind as he takes the Blade Master to the face of Defaulter there and looking to extend that lead even further. So for Never Quit, they seem slightly lost right now, even though Rajput has been able to find elimination. We can see that really they're not, the side of Unkilled are not really leaving any breathing room for Psychopath to reign terror on this map, and already a 140-point lead for the side of Unkilled. 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, and you can see, as you already pointed out, Unkilled's roster are currently just playing it relatively safe. They don't need to overstep their boundaries, but Defaulter is taking the fight to them, finds 2 eliminations of his own here, and oh my god, Psychopath really needed to come out on top in that engagement, but Gunrak turns the tides completely as he finds triple elimination, and of course, those valuable points for his team.
Any slim opportunity for comeback have been diminished. It is really going to be a very difficult game for Never Quit to make this one possible. They've done it in the past, though I'll give them that. But here, I don't think that's going to be the case. Unkilled leading with a very significant advantage. They must make some really bad plays in order to not secure Team Deathmatch here in Old Factory. Now we are seeing an attempt here from the Never Quit roster to make this play happen, but here Lionheart will be finding the elimination. I think there's also a flank coming in there from Moriarty as he finds the double elimination. A couple more to boot, of
Even
course.
the triple there at the very end.
With the Blade Master. 15 points for them, and that's it.
Yeah, that's just sprinkling salt on the wound of Never Quit right now on this map as Lionheart finishing things off, and actually few of the Unkilled roster there were on elimination streak here, and you can see that this is a completely different story here on the Team Deathmatch map, and I think that's also an interesting point to point out. Like, I think that for this side of Never Quit, the biggest problem was that they really couldn't find a proper opportunity to come back into the match. It was just, like, even if they would find eliminations, they would be instantly traded, and really they couldn't group up as a team together and just overstep that middle part of the area on the map there and just sort of try to push the opposing side into their own base.
And in general, I mean, the Unkilled players, they've really stepped up in this matchup. Like, pretty much every single one of them had a fine game here. They had a great early start, leading by, I think it might have been even 100 points. It's been primarily throughout the entirety of this matchup. They have been able to double up the scoreline for what seems to be the whole time, it looked like.
All right, well, let's have a look at the MVPs and see who stood out from the side of Never Quit and Unkilled here on our screens, ladies and gentlemen. Lionheart, 136 points, 8 eliminations, 10 assists, and only 5 deaths on his side. On their side, though, Never Quit, Psychopath yet again on our screens with 102 points, 7 eliminations, 6 assists, and 10 deaths. So very notably, Lionheart, only 5 deaths, and look at the amount of assists. I think that's one of the highest ratings we've seen so far in terms of gaining assists within a single match. Because, like, we usually see a load of eliminations, right? And here you see quite a lot of assists coming in from him. This does mean that Lionheart was playing it safe, was assisting his team a lot from a distance and just falling back afterwards as soon as he would take damage, just to make sure he could heal up, not die enough, and obviously looking to see how he can just continuously re-engage and fall back in those scenarios.
And of course, you know, here in Team Deathmatch, it's important for the player to stay alive for as long as possible.
Yes.
So I guess one of the reasons what we can expect is that when he was able to find, say, an elimination, he's able to back towards the spawn, able to pop a heal, and that's it. He's back on full health, and he can very easily go again to try and commit to the fight.
All right. Well, Unkilled showed us here on Old Factory that there's really no match. Never Quit, that is really not a match for them on this map. But what do you think about Europe Square? That's up next for us.
Oh,
and
Europe
Square, it's just it's a roller coaster of emotions here. And for Unkilled, it might not be such an easy story here. And question as well, like, I mean, there are still plenty of corners that can be left unchecked.
The thing is, though, it's a pretty large map. I don't really think a team like Never Quit have done a lot of practicing, say, on a map like Europe Square. And it obviously requires a lot of team communication. It's a pretty big map, It has 3 control points, so it's one of the game modes where, of course, in control points, you need the communication to get it flowing, just like in any other game mode.
Yeah.
But here, it's important to be making these coordinated effort, coordinated attacks on, say, one of the control points, because there's a high probability that your players are going to have to be very mobile in their approach, and they're also going to have to make some of these aggressive plays in order to put your team in a winnable position.
And I think, like, also another option for either side really is, like, I don't see it being done that enough. I've actually seen it probably only once or twice during the spring split. But pretty much, like, your team can act as a distraction for one of your guys to be able to flank then. Because Europe Square being such a big map, right, it gives you the opportunity of dragging the attention of your opponent to one side of the map and then allowing one player to flank behind them. And I think, like, as far as I've seen from Never Quit now, seeing them first time today here, I do think that Psychopath probably is going to be the one that is going to go on that flank. And if like, nothing works for Never Quit, I hope that they can consider something like that as an option, because I think it would be completely upsetting and would destroy just the Unkilled's lineup. Look, from Unkilled's perspective, that situation would be like, oh, we got this in the bag, and then it's gone.
Well, we'll see if this Europe Square matchup will be gone anytime soon. It's just starting here, folks, as it is going to be the decider here of the semifinalists. Our last semifinalists here of the day, since, of course, a full-on commitment here on the B control point. It looks like Moriarty here with Lionheart. They're not able to find a single elimination, though. It is going to be Moriarty there from behind. He comes in there, and he will find the necessary eliminations. However, we are already seeing the engagement still working out here for the Falter, as he will secure the B control point.
Yeah, even Konrad, they're missing that G-Launcher. The shotgun does prevail there, so he's looking to recapture that B point. In the meantime, A point is going to be captured by the Never Quit side, who are still currently in the lead by 20 points. Psychopath was found in the middle of nowhere there by two teammates from the Unkilled roster there. Rashput with a double elimination here, might even find the triple. He's going to go down eventually there, as Defaulter now on the prowl, looking to find an opponent, and he runs into Gunrag, finds the elimination, now needs to run away as Lionheart will take away his life. Interestingly enough, Lionheart as well, not really interested in contesting that A capture point just yet, as Rashput is making his way towards that site, and he actually does eliminate Lionheart there, so hard times for Unkilled right now, as the Never Quit roster is currently in front with 80 points.
Yeah, this is a pretty significant lead right now for Never Quit. I didn't expect them to have such a great game. The G-Launcher's there, and now as we do see the pushes come to play, there's a combo breaker, which means extra points right now for the Unkilled players. Now, they do have themselves the B and C control points. That's fine and all, but can't they win some of these eliminations? It's going to be very important here. Lionheart's grenade won't land, and this is where the Never Quit roster players have respawned, and they're ready to make the commitments here. We already see 2 players here on the C point. It's been captured, and they still have A in their presence.
AV needs to survive here, as Psychopath is on his way to help out. The double elimination comes out from Gunrag. Even the triple, as he manages to recapture this point alone, essentially now.
Gunrag is hoping to find that Blade Master. No, it's going to be Rashput come out on top. And this is looking pretty fine right now for Unkilled. Finally, they're going to be able to take over themselves the B control point. I also believe there's some players there on the A1 as well. Psychopath, though, he will be going down, but Moriarty has finally capped the control point. It definitely took him quite a while here, and as Gunrag comes in to help him out, that's going to be Never Quit with the control point in their favor.
And they're looking to recapture that B point right now. They absolutely need to nail it, as the C point is being contested. Currently, you can see Rashput is making his way towards there. Lionheart gets the reload in just in time, hiding away behind that wall, dancing pretty much around the pole right now, as Rashput is going to go down, and Lionheart plays that excellently in that situation, but he's going to be contested by 2 players from Never Quit right now. And for Never Quit, this is make it or break it time, as they're only 40 points in front of Unkilled's roster, who are currently only in control of capture point A, and this C is going to be captured as well. Never Quit, can they come up with a game plan here, as they want to establish control over this B capture point, as Psychopath lands a huge G-Launcher connector, but Moriarty does come back with a double elimination, and even Rakesh now putting a good amount of firepower down on the ground.
Oh, this is getting close here between the two teams. None of them having a very significant lead. It's going to come down to these last eliminations, but look at this. It's Unkilled. We're able to cap pretty much every single control point except for B, and this is going to come down to the eliminations by this point. Who can get them? Who will succeed? Who will come out on top? And let me tell you, folks, it's going to be Unkilled. They win the semifinal, and they will get themselves a spot in the grand finals.
Oh my God, I really thought that Never Quit had this one in the bag. Even like 2/3 through the map, it seemed that like Never Quit were just too fast on the rotation. So like they were, as soon as they would capture the point, they would jump off it and go towards the next one, causing havoc constantly for Unkilled because they need to try and keep up with this. And the only way how you can counter, you can actually see how Lionheart handled that situation on the C capture point. He was just standing essentially alone and dancing around the pole just to distract their opponents long enough for the backup to come in only then. So for Never Quit, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they definitely know how to play control maps. I think they just got slightly unlucky here with a few engagements, even especially towards the end there, because their overall control was pretty good, and I think that we're going to see Never Quit here playing in these semis again.
I think that's definitely a possibility. They showed us some great Guns of Boom gunplay here, and with that action coming into place, it's a good opportunity as any to look back at the MVPs, as I think we're going to have a certain psychopath here for Never Quit, or actually no, it's going to be Rajput here. The man sitting on 11 eliminations, 5 assists, and 232 score.
Yeah, on this side of Unkilled, though, was Rakesh ready. 243 points, 10 eliminations, and 7 assists for him. And I mean, everyone was really super present on this map. You can see that both teams went all out, essentially just to capture the points, also going for those eliminations. The G launchers were connecting, everything was working out, and well, it's not completely over for Never Quit. They've just jumped down to that third, fourth place battle where they will need to play against none other than the Indian Wolves.
And that's going to be very interesting because the Indian Wolves roster, they have themselves a good player right now in the form of Skilled. And I guess, you know, it's a good opportunity as any to look back at the brackets. We've had ourselves the two semifinalists. Both of them have finished. And, you know, we now know the teams that will play in the grand finals as well as in the third and fourth place deciders.
All right, so looking back, the day started with Cyclone GG going up against Indian Wolves, where Cyclone GG was able to finish off in a 2-0 fashion, even though I must say Indian Wolves looked very confident today as well. And in the other semis, we did have just now on our screens Unkilled going up against Never Quit, where Never Quit was able to take a map off their off the list of Unkilled, but unfortunately for the side of Never Quit, Unkilled were able to prevail and therefore have advanced to meet Cyclone GG in the grand finals. But before that, we are going to have that third place decider between Indian Wolves and Never Quit. Now, first map is going to be Farming Complex. And for Never Quit, being what seems to be more like a control-based team in terms of they really like these control points, what do you think are the chances for Indian Wolves in this match?
This could be close. It could definitely be close here between the two teams, but I will say this. Indian Wolves have shown to be a very strong roster right now. They have assembled what possibly could be, of course, this is, you know, early stages here in the summer split, but I think we can definitely call them the second best team. They will definitely prove so if they do secure themselves a spot here, you know, by winning this third and fourth place decider, which I think is going to happen. Like, Never Quit, I'm sorry, folks, you're a new roster. These guys, Indian Wolves, they've been playing this game for some time now. In the spring series, they've shown to be a very good team. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this might even end up being a 3-0. But talking about, you know, Farming Complex, I'm bold here with the predictions, of course.
Yeah, you're bold today. Cyclone GG, best team, Indian Wolves, 3-0.
That's the best way to be crafting narratives. And here, you know, a team like Never Quit, I think they're young. They're a young team. They're now going to be feeling maybe not necessarily a lot of pressure, but they will definitely face a pretty fine opponent here in the form of Indian Wolves. So that's going to be the question. Can a team that's relatively unknown here in that respect can secure themselves even one map against a team like Indian Wolves?
Well, I think the Farming Complex is going to be as good as any for Never Quit to actually go up against Indian Wolves. I still think that the flank routes are really good for Never Quit, and also the fact of how quick are they on the rotations. I think that's going to be a huge problem for Indian Wolves, because like if they cannot keep up with the pace of Never Quit, they really are going to have a very, very hard time of capturing those points in like a team's fashion. So I think it's going to be more down to the fact of how Indian Wolves manage the pace of Never Quit, and also can Indian Wolves replicate what Unkilled did just now by having the opportunity of just having a single man standing on the capture point and actually being able to stand his own long enough for the backup to come in then. So for Indian Wolves, it's going to be very important if they can replicate that or no. If not, I think Never Quit are actually going to take this first match.
Ooh, that's
I don't think it's going to be a clean
ooh,
victory. I think we're going to see at least 4 maps here.
maybe. That's definitely a possibility. But I will say this, a map like Farming Complex, which we are about to jump into here, folks, it has got a lot of flanking routes, so I'll definitely give you this. There's a possibility that a team like Never Quit, if they're going to be very good on the flanking routes, fun the eliminations, there's a possibility they may make it close, but I don't think we'll see the victory. There we go. We're starting things off here in Farming Complex, and looks like we have some issues.
It's just the Indian Wolves side having some trouble with the internets, probably.
The internets.
Yes. Well, I mean, we've seen it already in the spring split, so it's no surprise. It's pretty much only in their matches, so some sort of perhaps provider issue or whatever. Anyways, we'll be back in that match very quickly, but until then, continuing on with that previous theme of how many maps we're going to see in this one. Do you think that Never Quit now have just played against Unkilled, seeing that they actually can go head-to-head with these teams? I think this actually inspires you more to play even better against a potentially even better team.
I guess it's possible, especially right now, because we're in the stage where, in all fairness, you already don't have yourself a spot in the grand final, which is a shame, of course. But there's still a possibility for you,
Well, this
playing,
week.
playing in a more relaxed atmosphere. It's like, well, there's not really a big difference here in the prize pool when it comes to if you finish third or fourth. It's obviously way more worth it to finish third here because you will be getting, I think, $40 extra as well as 50 points instead of 40 points. So yes, it is quite worth it to battle it out here for the third place finish. However, this is a best of 5. It's not a best of 3. At the very minimum, you're going to be playing free maps. So it's a good opportunity as any to be getting experience against a better level team like Indian Wolves. It's a good opportunity as any to try out some new strats, some new ways to play some of these maps.
And for Never Quit as well, I mean, I really don't know how many times they have been in the best of 5 scenario before. Just in general, playing scrims or whatever, or just practicing, like, best of 5s are tricky because, like, you need to really understand as to how this is going to play out in the longer picture, as also know when to up the pace in a certain match or when you need to play passively. Because if you don't understand how the game is going to punish you, if you make a mistake like in this exact moment, it's really going to be difficult for them to plan out this best of 5 series. So leaving it all up to unpredictability and just be like playing in terms of just whatever happens, we react to it, then that's like really when you're gambling there. I really think that going up against Indian Wolves, you need to have some sort of a game plan.
Oh, for sure. A game plan is a must. But I think it's also a ability of higher level teams that can actually adapt on the fly. Sure, if you're a team that's starting out, you're going to be making, okay, guys, let's try to go for this game plan. If this doesn't succeed, this is our second game plan. But primarily, if you're a team that's starting out, playing a reactive style, it's very difficult. You might not have the best communication, your players are playing this new position, and it's very difficult.
All right, well, let's see one more time as Farming Complex loaded on our screens here right now. Control points between Unkilled, not Killed, Never Quit, and Indian Wolves. And this is going to be another reset, looks like.
Uh-oh.
Still issues. All right. Well, I mean, let's have a look at the season map, though. Let's see how this all has played out in the longer picture. Who went where, who is going to be where, at what times. Take it away, Danny.
Oh, this is a big one. Season map. Here we go, folks. Of course, Winter Challenger. This happened way back at the start of January. January 19th, we were able to kick it off. And, of course, we had 7 weeks of play, which was a very long period of time. And, of course, we had a very good way to finish things up here for our Winter Challenger series. We obviously had our first Gods of Boom event, the kickoff event that happened in, I do believe it was the March 1st. in Katowice, Poland, and we obviously had the grand final there, a full-on best-of-7 where Noble Esports did come out on top against Lazarus.
Exactly. So for Noble Esports, they managed to secure that juicy 40,000 there. For the Spring Challengers, though, that started off in March number 16, and you see that these teams actually finished off then afterwards in the Pro Series Texas. You had Enix, you had Force Esports, and all the other goodies there. But what was notable that this event was taken by Impact Gaming by not dropping a single map. They went up against Sidekicks, finishing off in a 3-0 fashion, and they actually won over Enix with a 4-0 as well, grabbing that $20,000 prize for themselves.
Yeah, that was very impressive there from Impact Gaming, proving us that North America has got what it takes to compete with some of the best in the world. And yes, with them securing that victory there, they will be able to play in the Gods of Boon event, but also here, the Summer Challenger Series. Of course, this is still week 1, folks, so we don't really know the teams that are going to be playing, say, in the upcoming Pro Series. But here in Brazil, we do know the teams. We know that the teams who have played, who have won themselves a spot here, it's of course the likes of Impact Gaming, Enix, Lazarus, Dust2 Esports, Bazookas, and of course the team from the Southeast Asia region, Cyclone GG.
Yeah, and I mean, for the lineup that we see here on our screens as well, I think Impact Gaming, Enix, and Lazarus are the 3 big titans, really, that everyone else will need to overcome. I'm not really putting down Cyclone GG as a titan just yet, just because I really haven't seen how could they potentially play up against one of these teams just in general. So, of course, overall, looking at all of this roadmap here for Cyclone GG, I'm super excited that we got to see how we managed to approach this from their perspective and how they managed to get out of their region. Of course, in that Gods of War event, Noble Esports and Impact Gaming have already secured their position. We need to find out who is going to win the Brazil event. And of course, there is still that one direct invite that a team gets.
Yeah, and what an amazing...
And that's like a wild card in its own, right?
Yeah, like, if you're going to have yourself a very good performance, you definitely deserve a spot there, an invite in the Cathedral of Esports. Like, it is an amazing stadium there. The event should be awesome there. If you live close by the Cologne area, definitely give it a visit. We talked about earlier how an event like, the Pro Series Finals in Brazil should be awesome. That is going to be the Super Bowl of Guns of Boom, so
Exactly.
You don't want to miss it.
Right. Well, having the opportunity of seeing the Titans from all the world and finally get to know these players in person as well, because, you probably have meet and greet signups and so on, and that still must be kind of cool just to have, say, potentially all the signatures collected and merch and so on. But back to the action now as Farming Complex, yet again on our screens, Control Points Never Quit, going up against Indian Wolves in a best-of-5 scenario for the 3rd and 4th place decider here.
Let's go, folks, already. It is some early control coming in here with the Never Quit rosters. They're finding the necessary eliminations. It's a bit of a bloodbath there on the B control point, but finally it's Rajput to come out on top, but he won't find the elimination on Ravi. And now we're seeing the early control there from Never Quit is falling apart.
Falling apart indeed as Ravi now on that flank, looking to find Defaulter, who just took down Hope. Is ready, but he actually comes out on top of that and even finds the triple there. Manhandling Indian Wolves right now and single-handedly capturing that A capture point. This does put the pressure onto the Indian Wolves' shoulders right now as they are traveling through that B capture point. Not really paying too much attention to that as they still want to take care of the A capture point first. Of course, taking care of the sides and then afterwards battling out in the middle is a lot easier for either side right now, and still it looks like Indian Wolves are going to be able to narrow down that point difference and even overtaking the lead right now as all 3 control points are in their favor, and the side of Never Quit seems to have suffered some sort of a technical issue.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's the problem right now for the Never Quit roster, but every single player has disconnected, so wonder if we're going to be starting off the match here newly, freshly, or are we going to have some sort of news coming in there from the team? Maybe they have some sort of serious issue, and that's why they can't play.
It's slightly strange that they fell apart at the same time. Like
that's also true, because after all, they did start off the game, didn't they?
They're probably like... They're potentially sitting in one place, like on a Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi has issues. So, like, if they are connected, they all drop out at the same time. That's one of the reasons, I think, how could all this happen. But, I mean, I guess we are just looking to find out right now what really was the issue. But briefly more about the game. Like, okay, first of all, never quit.
Oh, that's out of some
All right,
breakdance battle. There
that's
we
the
go.
Indian Wolves waiting for the Never Quit players to join the server. As you can see, there's a bit of a dance battle happening. I think Skilled is really taking it away right now. You can see Ravi already as well, not falling apart too much. The sync is on point for the guys. The G launcher as well just acts as a little spice on top there, a bit of an extra.
Those are some good breaking skills. Have you done breaking, Benepicus?
Actually, I have.
You have.
I have.
I have.
It's a very long time ago, but I have. I think I was like 13 or so. So this is a good. Oh my God, this is a good 16 years back.
16
I'm
years
old.
back. Oh boy, that definitely happened a while ago, and I can definitely tell you that yeah, like break it. It's a fine activity.
It was pretty cool. Like I like the overall experience. I didn't obviously go take it to extreme extents, but it provided good fun. I think like in our school, you even had like the option of going to like small markets that we have, like pop-up markets in the country, and then people would like have different sort of game dances and
Oh.
like dance battles and stuff. I never really competed in those, but it was fun for a while. So yeah, breakdancing, cool stuff. Hopefully Never Quit will be able to jump back with us shortly. But until then, I still wanted to talk about briefly as to how the match started off. Because it started off pretty good. Like, I mean, for Never Quit, definitely. They were able to very quickly capture a point. And then afterwards, that A capture point really became the focus of the match there as... who was that from Never Quit's side that held the point alone, got the triple then?
I don't really remember, but it definitely didn't last for too
that was
long.
super,
I'll give you that.
It didn't last too long, but it was very crucial at that point that even finding that first, okay, finding the second, great. And then I was super surprised that he actually found that third elimination there as well, meaning that on the back of all of that, he was able to capture the point as the enemy team was respawning. And this, whilst it gave more opportunity for the Never Quit side to actually go for that C capture point as well, which was still in control at the time by Indian Wolves, the B capture point was already taken by Never Quit, and it was also being ignored by Indian Wolves. So that would have potentially like boosted their point situation skyrocket high, but that's probably also around the times that we saw the crashes happening, because it was just eliminations going in favor of Indian Wolves, and well, Never Quit just leaving the server.
And also, like, on the latter stages of Farming Complex, we even saw one of the players, I do believe it might have been Ghost Snap position, was on the ACP point, holding behind the hay bales.
Yeah.
And that is, like, a very good position when you think about it. You don't really have to expose your entire body. You're able to hold yourself a pretty nifty angle, and say if you've got yourself a sniper rifle, that is a very great way to see the opponents coming in, getting the early damage, and then eliminating them with, say, the avalanche or maybe some other rifle to work with.
Yeah, you'll always have that secondary weapon to follow up, just in case if your primary fails. And as you already said, like, you have that body cover situation happening there, so exposing just your head also slightly, of course, makes the difficult more situation. Makes the situation more difficult, there we go, for the opposing team, as they need to take the time to aim to your head. And if you are even like jiggle peeking perhaps at some point, like, it's just too difficult for them to handle with you, and they need to bring in extra people to do that. And once they bring in extra people on a control-based map, different areas of the map free up, and therefore someone can just sneakily run in and capture a point unseen.
But at the same time, when you're not exposing your body, you're exposing your head. That is a very easy way to get yourself. It's falling apart.
Your head is falling.
Wait, there you go. Much better. And I guess it's a good opportunity as any to talk about the reason why do we have these silly hats here.
Why do we have the silly hats? We have the silly hats because it's a 2-year anniversary again in the studios.
Wait. There we go.
Yeah.
Got that in.
Yeah, so it's been 2 years for Guns of Boom, and obviously Guns of Boom have gone a very lengthy way within this time. And I think 2 years is a very, very short a time for a game to reach levels where you can provide so many events that are actually like with very, very decent prize pools. And decent is even like very good prize pools. Decent is even not the word I'm looking for, because in so many other esports as well, where I myself have played or commented this period where a game gets to a level where they can provide such prize pool is usually slightly longer. So for Guns of Boom, obviously it's been great success so far, and that's the reason why we celebrate as the hats, of course,
And of
indicate.
course, yeah, like you can join the celebration here on our channel. But one of the
Yes.
things you could also do is head on over to the game itself. And with you downloading the latest update, you can also join the celebration in the event that's going on there. So if you're going to be completing the challenges, you got yourself a very good way of getting yourself even a hat like this in game. I think it also comes with some nice goggles. So I think those are just shades, but
Yeah.
that's a pretty nice combo. So obviously, yeah, hop on Guns of Boom right now. You can also try to get yourself the nice hat I have on the top of my brain. Yeah, there you go. So I think there's actually not a lot of time to the event, so definitely jump on in there. And of course, you know, Season 3 has also made a, well, the Season 3 has begun also on the mobile game itself. So if you're going to be jumping into the game, if you're going to be completing the daily challenges, you have yourself an opportunity to get yourself some nice skin patterns and even unlock some new weapons. So obviously, guys, while we do have some of these technical issues with us, so of course, bear with us. One of the ways you can pass the time is obviously by listening to us, or option B would be to hop on over to Guns of Boom right now and give it a shot, try out the new
How
updates.
many times a day do you turn on Guns of Boom?
Well, one of the things you have to turn on Guns of Boom for is obviously the crates you can get. Obviously, with the crate you can open up, you can get some of those med kits, you can get some of those gum bucks.
Okay.
So that's one of the main reasons you have to open up even Guns of Boom every single day, folks. Remember, you need to get the gum bucks to get the skins and the weapons, of course, the weapons as well.
Yeah. So, well, for me, Guns of Boom is probably something I turn on as soon as I have like a lengthier break. Really don't get many of those with the amount of jobs I'm doing, but still looking to fill the gaps as in any opportunity and as good as any. Unfortunately, I think we're probably not allowed to play Guns of Boom right now, so we'll have to hold back from the
Yeah.
temptation. But hopefully the players, or at least can we get a bit of an update as to what's really happening with the teams there. I don't really know. We are still waiting for a decision of some sort. So, intriguing. Really don't know
Yeah,
what's...
intriguing. What could happen in Roll the Drums?
well, this is a best of 5 scenario, so if it is a situation where Never Quit have made it so far, and now they're going to be forced to, like, give away their slot here just because of a technical issue that they cannot really resolve in a timely fashion, that would be really unfortunate for them.
Very
I mean,
dissatisfying as well.
technical like problems are always frustrating because you've gone all this way, you've battled it out so long, and now finally when you get here, you get on stream, you are really showing a very, very good result against these teams. So, I think. Hold on, is that?
It looks like there's a 1-0 lead right now for the Indian Wolves roster.
Is that a technical victory or just a map point?
Oh, it looks like.
Okay,
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
we are actually, unfortunately, pronouncing that Never Quit have given up their position right now as forced by technical problems. So Indian Wolves do take the technical victory in this best of 5. Oh, for the first map only. Well, excuse me then.
Yeah, of course, it's
That's
going to be
awkward.
a 1-0 victory there for the likes of Indian Wolves. Farming
I thought
Complex was obviously going their way, so I mean, yeah, it would have been pretty hard there for
they
the.
didn't go their way.
Oh, come on, Beneficus. Don't get me started on this one. It was clearly going their way. Yes.
No, I completely
Yes.
disagree. All right,
Yes.
Next map. Okay, so we're not going to do Farming Complex. The boys have trouble on that map. Whatever. We're going to go to the next map shortly here. Right, so, well, now that I am sweating from the pressure of saying wrong information live on TV, I'm super stoked to find out if Never Quit. Right, so here's my next question. You had a technical problem. You were unable to finish the first map. You are down a map, not really because of, like, a direct action that you did, just because you had technical problems. How do you come back into that, like, just mentally?
It is dissatisfying, I'll give you that. But the thing is, though, this is a best of 5, so still, the very minimum, there's going to be 2 maps being played out. So I'm not really, like, again, from the get-go, I said that it's going to be pretty hard for a team like Never Quit to come out on top, but it's a good opportunity as any to garner the experience against a better opponent. Sure, there's
Yes.
a high possibility you're going to end up losing the matchup. That's a shame, sure. There's a possibility of you getting some very useful learning material, and after the day is over, you're going to be able to look back at the stream and say, oh, so this is the things we did right. These were the things we did wrong, and it's going to be some great learning material. The problem is, though, is that they're going to have not as a great learning experience because, at the very least, they could have played 3 maps. Now they're probably going to be playing only the 2, which is, yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's kind of
for
shame.
Never Quit, they need to take 4 maps in a row right now up against Indian Wolves.
Mhm.
Excuse me, 3 maps.
Yeah, 3
Three,
maps if you want to secure the
three,
victory.
three maps if you want to secure the victory, right? And it's like such a huge task to ask, especially when you are down a map. Like you would be feeling more comfortable just starting from a 0-0 position, and now starting from 0-1, then it's really not the best case. But well, we are going to be transitioning to the next map shortly, and that is going to be Military Warehouse. So, do you think that Never Quit, seeing how they did previously on a team deathmatch scenario, uh, do you think it's going to be the same sort of, or is this going to be something different?
I think they're going to struggle, to be honest. Like in the previous matchup, they definitely struggled in Team Deathmatch Old Factory. I think they're going to struggle here on Military Warehouse as well, because I'll even say this, the 2 maps are kind of similar when you think about it in their layout, I guess you could call it. You also have the sort of mid portion of the map where some engagements end up happening in this little hut. But now, as you do see, the players are here on the left side. We obviously do have Indian Wolves. On the right side, it's Never Quit, and we are seeing the engagements taking place already. It's going to be a group effort here from Indian Wolves. Look at them, they're sticking together. They have all 3 of the players have the sniper rifles, but there's Psychopath. He's here with the Avalanche. He will find the Blade Master, and he's going for more. There's some
What?
great eliminations from Never Quit, and Psychopath put the team in a pretty good position.
Okay, well, Indian Wolves were definitely not expecting that, and I was not either, as Psychopath now did go for that peak, but unfortunately Hope is back, just too good right now, as he did manage to eliminate him very quickly. AV and Rashput will be found as well, and Defaulter here does get a Blade Master of his own, but very instantly is going to be traded off, and very quickly Never Quit have lost their lead on now already almost by 50 points, and Hope is back is just peeking down these pathways, not really allowing this. AV will find Skilled, more Skilled, slightly questionable move there as he tried to run into almost the base of their opponent.
This is quite interesting right now. Never Quit team definitely have the advantage in this position, but look at this, they're grouping up together, and they're able to find these fine eliminations here. Skilled with the G-Launcher, and now this is odd. Indian Wolves, as they're going to continue on with the push here. Never Quit have got themselves some strange angles here, but AV will be taken down. And now there's Rashput with the Barracuda. He's got no idea about the flank being a possibility. They're there, and Indian Wolves get themselves a fine lead as they find a flurry of eliminations, and now they have a 50 points lead.
And look at the pressure that Indian Wolves are bringing to the table. They're not leaving any breathing space for Never Quit because they know that their downfall is these flanks. And right now, Skill tried to go for an up-close engagement, but Psychopath was able to take care of them very quickly, narrowing down the point lead only to about 30 points. The G-Launcher misses. AV somehow takes himself out of the game with the G-Launcher in that situation, as both now Psychopath is able to trade back. That grenade will deal plenty of damage, but Ravi Ready will come out on top with the Blade Master there, as Defaulter will be taken down by Skilled as well. Skilled on a double elimination, even finds the Blade Master on top. Excuse me, that was Rajput who found it there. I really thought that he's already in a reign of terror situation, but still 2 minutes and 35 seconds on the clock here.
Yeah, this is not a very good situation for the Never Quit players. They're going to have to find some of these eliminations. They're going to have to get it up close and personal, but they can still do it. That's the thing. Team Deathmatch, that's the beauty of it. They can still make the comeback work here. Defaulter, he will be taken down, but imagine if he secures that gunfight. I think that he might have put his team in a pretty winnable position. But that's the problem right now for Never Quit. They've gone for some of these engagements, and some of these players don't even have the armor to work with. There's an elimination there from Ravi. Now we're seeing even a Psychopath with the Merciless. This means that this man has got himself quite a hell of a streak. A double elimination for him. The Explosive will be taking him down, and it's still a good chance here for Never Quit, as double elimination there from Hope puts his team in a fine position.
Minute and 50 seconds on the clock here before Indian Wolves could potentially run away with the second map in their favor, being that first one taken over with a technical victory. Skilled looking to follow up here as Hope is back, finds another Blade Master of his own, and only a few points before Indian Wolves close this one out. It looks like that Never Quit have really been pushed back into their base as they're having trouble to find out exit paths in a safe fashion. Rashput does take care of those, so that's an entry opportunity there. Even finds the follow-up, and Psychopath finds one as well. And very quickly, Never Quit have managed to narrow the point gap yet again, but only 1 minute and 10 seconds on the clock. And for Indian Wolves, they just pretty much need one more elimination before they can finish this match.
And I think Hope's going to get him, or no, in fact, it's going to be AV coming out on top. Indian Wolves, yeah, you mentioned it. Maybe it's going to be the 2 eliminations, in fact, as now they only need the 4 points, but Never Quit, they're finding these eliminations, and now this is a peculiar scenario. Never Quit can still pull it back, but they're going to have to make this one work. It has to be a coordinated effort if they want to secure themselves the map.
Oh! It's actually going to be Ghost who finds Psychopath there. I mean, these cliffhangers at the end always get me. I thought I Hope is back will find the opportunity there, but Ghost was eventually able to close that out. This does mean that Indian Wolves are sitting on 2 maps already. And for the side of Never Quit, whilst they actually brought it back so close towards the very end, you can see they actually continuously stayed together as a 4-man group and really just didn't allow anyone to find those entries or finding a way how to split them up. So they just didn't split up, stuck together as a group, indicating that they clearly have some sort of a game plan in action, but unfortunately it just started to play out slightly too late. Like, they needed to start this comeback a minute earlier, I think. A minute earlier, if they would have had the same approach, they probably would have taken this map.
Yeah, in a world where they're able to find some success moving forward with maybe some Psychopath epic plays, I think that definitely could have been a possibility, because now, yes, it's Indian Wolves who did win the matchup, but that was like super close. Again, it was, I think, might have been maybe a 20-ish point difference, which in all fairness, that is definitely not the most
basically.
Yeah, that's not the most convincing of victories. Imagine 2 eliminations and you could have lost that one.
All right, well, let's see who were the MVPs of the match. I think it's pretty clear that on the side of Never Quit, we're going to see Psychopath yet again. I think is like the 3rd time on today on our screens. 14 eliminations, 8 assists, and 190 points in his pocket. And on the other side, we do have Indian Wolves. Hope is back with 171 points, 10 eliminations, 5 assists, and only 7 deaths there. So overall, pretty good job. It's quite clear also that on the side of Never Quit, I think it's safe to say that Psychopath might be the most elimination-based player that they have. I mean, he's always up there with like X10 and above.
And for good reason. Like, he has been able to perform very well here. This is the first time both of us get to see him play, and he's doing a fine job at it. It doesn't look like he's having any stress while he's playing, because he definitely had a fine semifinal. And here, you know, in the second map of the best of 5, he also goes to show here that he can play with some of the best here at the Southeast Asia region.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's really make it or break it for Never Quit. They need 3 back-to-back victories over Indian Wolves if they want to take this series. And honestly, at this point, whilst it looks like that they have very good traits as to how they could do it, they're either unlucky or just slightly too late with their game plan. So in 3 following maps, I really don't think how it can happen.
I think it's going to be hard. I'll give you that. I'm still expecting a 3-0 victory there from the Indian Wolves roster. They pretty much already got it, almost. 2-0 for now, I'll give you that. But the next map, it will be King of the Hill. It is going to be Saloon. So what we have seen from the Saloon in the past is that it is a pretty close map between the 2 teams.
Saloon,
whenever you end up have, like, say, the number 1 team playing against the number 2 team, it is still a very close map. It is very hard to predict who's going to come out on top.
Right, well, looking now at Wild West Saloon, of course, a lot comes down as to who controls the balcony, who controls the inner saloon here as the saloon and gambling room. Does that say? Is that Dancing Buffalo at the top?
Prancing.
Prancing
Buffalo.
Buffalo. There we go. All right. Well, the players from Never Quit here, you can see they actually put 2 players on the balcony. An excellent move there, but do they realize that Skilled is actually on the flank there as he's going to come out? Oh, just behind them. The first strikes have been made by Ghost here, and Indian Wolves are looking to capture the point by first eliminating all of Never Quit players. You can see Rashput trying to make a desperate attempt, but jumping into 3 opponents won't bring you any good. And right now, Skilled in a very tricky corner for Never Quit to deal with.
And right now, it's Skilled. Like, this is a fine position from him. He can be in a great spot to do some damage, but no, he's going to be taken down by Rashput. And this is a position where Never Quit, yes, they have secured themselves the control point, but I can't really say that they have the most amount of map control, but for them, it doesn't look like that's the main goal. They have players with the sniper rifles, and that could be enough to secure themselves a fine lead right now.
A fine lead indeed, as now Never Quit roughly, essentially at the same amount of points. Sitting here with Defaults are doing an excellent job, as well as AV did manage to help out with plenty of damage. You can see his health, which is continuously ticking down, and Skill just managed to put the final nail in the coffin there for AV. Even finds the Blade Master there on top as well. So now the Indian Wolves are going to be looking for that point capture. Defaulter here, explosives on the ground, finds a double elimination and stays alive. Needs to heal up here as Psychopath now on the flank on top of that balcony. Rashput as well peeking down this pathway, and Psychopath needs to strike now, as he does, and finds Hope is back. Can he find more here? As he finds his second, that is Ghost, and even the triple elimination, Psychopath stands out yet again.
And this is a significant lead right now for the Never Quit players. It's almost 200 points for them, and we are seeing a bit of a flank. Ghost is coming in. He's finding the eliminations. He's coming in like he's Casper. And that is fine stuff here from Indian Wolves. They get themselves the control point, and with the control point in their favor, they can, again, very easily back away. But no, it is being contested. Never Quit players are here, and they're almost with the cap there. There's Ghost again. He needs to find this elimination, which he does. An elimination streak for him, and the control point going in favor of Indian Wolves.
The fact that Ghost decided to stay in that corner and just look and deal damage from distance does mean that Indian Wolves can come back into this safely and very quickly, like, essentially just delete a 100-point lead that Never Quit had made for themselves there. So for Never Quit, it's back to the drawing board again, and being in a 2-0 situation in the series, this is horrible news for them. Psychopath now walking out on the capture point, trying to deal with Ghost, is able to do that, but Hope is back, is there to retaliate as he finds AV. Merciless even coming out from Defaulter right now, so Defaulter has been alive for quite the time, finds another Blade Master, but finally Ravi Reddy will be able to take him down. A bit of a trade happening backwards and forwards here. Ghost still alive and still a nuisance for Never Quit, as he even finds the double and does take out AV. AV from the grave will launch the rocket, but that is going to be pretty much it, as Indian Wolves yet again a small but still a lead for them.
Yeah, and Ghost is having a stellar game thus far. You know, he has been pretty quiet in the past couple of maps, but here he's finally stepping up where he's needed most, and look at him. He's going in with the big flank. He hasn't been spotted out just yet. The G-Launcher is there, but it's not going to be the eliminations. It is going to be the control point in favor of Never Quit, though, but here, Indian Wolves, they are back with the respawn, but can't they actually stop the push right now? There you go, there's Skill. He's finding one of these eliminations, but he will be going down. Merciless is Hope. And now with the respawn coming in, Indian Wolves.
They don't know AV is there. AV is going to peek over the top, is now putting that explosive on the ground. He's just exposed so much of his body that he absolutely no way he was surviving at this situation. A heavy trade and a triple elimination coming in from Psychopath. He was eventually taken down, but he brought enough opportunity for his team to recapture this point. 950, 970 points for Indian Wolves. They almost are there. They almost have it, as Never Quit are looking to overtake the lead and steal the map from Indian Wolves.
And they have done it.
They've
stolen the map.
They've done it. They stole it. It's just that close.
It was super duper close there between the two teams. I even, I think it was, no hat, don't do it. I think it was at one point, 950 score for both of the teams, and then a flurry of eliminations go in favor of the Never Quit side, and there we go. They secure themselves the victory on our third map.
I mean, and an impressive feat as well, because like they had the lead when it was about 750 points, and then afterwards, Indian Wolves very quickly came back just because Ghost stood behind from a corner there and was able to eliminate the tagged up players from the Never Quit side. And now, towards the end of the match, there as well, Never Quit obviously never really quit here as they managed to, just by the slither of time, steal away the victory. So let's have a look at the MVPs and see who really stood out in this match. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be Psychopath again for the side of Never Quit. Indeed, 15 eliminations this time, 5 assists and 287 points. But look at how many points Ghost gave to his team.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the matchup itself, like Ghost had a stellar game. It was able to find a lot of those eliminations. It was able to do a lot of work there, and with his aggressive plays coming into work there, he put his team in a very winnable position.
Yeah, I think in terms of talking about Ghost, it's probably been one of the better matches I've seen in general from him. Just looking at the spring split, I really can't think of any other match that where he would have performed to such a level of impact as it was in this match. So, of course, hopefully for the side of Indian Wolves, this will transition into their next map as well. But for Never Quit now, question is though, can they keep up with well, they obviously can keep up with the pace of Indian Wolves, but can they keep up with the pace of this series? Because they still need to get 2 more victories before they can call themselves the winners of that 3rd place position.
Yeah, that's key. 2 more victories. It's not going to be easy, especially with the upcoming maps, and we will see that there's a high possibility that maybe they can clinch it out. Well, I've kind of lost it. I thought it's going to be 3-0,
Yeah.
but now it's clearly going to be, well, maybe 3-1,
Well,
I'd say.
here's the thing.
I'd say
The next
3-1.
map is Skyscrapers, right? So
True.
for Skyscrapers, we've seen that on a map like this, specifically Skyscrapers, if you lose your lead, then it's very hard for you to come back into it because the other team just stays passive until the very end
True.
and then just try to run the clock down. And when you are trying to looking for these engagements, you need to cross the whole map. There's so many corners where players could be hiding, and even when you get to that place, it's narrow pathways, and you see a lot of snipers coming out on this map.
You can definitely also argue with the simple nature of Skyscrapers in comparison to other team deathmatch maps. It's pretty big, you know.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is pretty big map for team deathmatch. So obviously you can definitely try to go for those aggressive plays early on. But once you do find the eliminations, just simply head back to your spawn, pop in a couple of heals, and then you're able to camp with the sniper rifles, find some of those early engagements, and then pretty much secure yourself the victory on the back of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the decisions made on this team deathmatch, even though it's team deathmatch, just go get elimination sort of scenario. You really need to be careful of not overcommitting here. Overcommitments on this map are extremely punishing, and that is like overstepping your boundaries in an advantageous situation is definitely going to be an issue for one of these teams. As far as we've seen, they're very eager to go for these engagements, regardless of the game style. So if they like this up and close battle, what happens in a situation where one team gets the lead and then suddenly completely stops? Like the other one is going to feel very pressured, and that's really where the small mistakes start to appear that have huge consequences.
Yeah, and that's where you're gonna have to make the plays. And if you don't succeed in making those plays, you can even put your team in a harder position than they might have been beforehand. So it's a very obviously, tricky way to go about it. It's a two-way street. And, it's never easy to make those decisions. Sometimes if you have your individuals step up massively, yes, there's a possibility you're going to be able to come out on top, like we saw Psychopath in that King of the Hill map on Paradise Island.
It would be interesting to know how many eliminations Psychopath has really obtained during this day, as I think it should be around somewhere the 60-ish, 70-ish perhaps limbs. So he's had definitely a busy day. But Skyscrapers, ladies and gentlemen, team deathmatch, only one more victory required from Indian Wolves for them to call themselves the winners of that 3rd position here in our summer split week number 1.
Now we are seeing Indian Wolves actually going for some of these control here, close by the hedges. It's Never Quit who have got themselves positions inside the building itself. However, it is still going to be Indian Wolves finding the first eliminations. That's going to be Ravi and Skilled.
Ravi and Skilled indeed opening things up for Indian Wolves here as Ghost now finds another one, and AV somehow misses so many shots there, only finds Skilled. I really thought he's going to get 2 eliminations in that situation. In the meantime though, Psychopath finally waking up here, and better time than ever as he gets 2 eliminations of his own and putting those valuable points on the board here now. Skilled does find Rajput and looking for AV as well. Does get the tag in, looking for the follow-up, but Psychopath on the flank there. And he's very active around these buildings. But as I say that, though, Hope is back will come out on top of this. And this is a 40-point lead for Indian Wolves right now. So they are probably not going to overstep their boundaries. Ghost even finding triple elimination right now. Ghost is doing such good work for the side of Indian Wolves, and it might already bring the first important advantageous situation for Indian Wolves.
And like, it already is. Indian Wolves don't even have to continue on with the aggression.
Another triple.
By this point, they can very easily just back away and just hide and spawn. That's what a lot of teams would be doing by this point if it were, say, a grand final scenario. But Indian Wolves, they clearly don't feel the pressure. And they're going to continue on with the aggressive plays. Ghost, Skilled, finding the necessary eliminations to increase the lead, as by far it is over 100 points for them in comparison to Neverquit's 167.
It looks like that Indian Wolves have a point to prove here for Neverquit. They're saying you guys are in the wrong league right now, as they're looking to completely mow down Neverquit right now with a 140-point lead. Slightly less than that right now as Indian Wolves slightly shaky for a moment, but it was just a matter of recouping up as very quickly Ghost and Skilled find 2 more eliminations. Ghost looking over these bushes, spots Defaulter, gets the tag in, looking for the follow-up, but AV there is to help as well. Defaulter will come out on top. Psychopath will find elimination of his own as well, as there are still 120 points they need to even catch Indian Wolves. And Indian Wolves, of course, are not docile. It's summer, they're on the hunt, and they're looking to take the victory here.
Ravi, though, he's got no idea what the position there of AV, but he's done good work. He was sitting on an elimination streak not too long ago, and we can see on the back of it, Indian Wolves are sitting with a very comfortable scoreline. Good explosive there from Defaulter, but even so, like Neverquit, they're definitely having themselves a very difficult time here as Indian Wolves 50 points away, and they will secure themselves a 3rd place finish here. However, it's important to note that Neverquit, as their name suggests, they're not going to be giving up anytime soon. However, the odds are stacked against them, and Indian Wolves, they should come out on top.
Here, Psychopath might just find Hope is back, will get that elimination. Now looking for that follow-up, does find the double, as the points are getting closer and closer right now. And for Indian Wolves, they just need a few more eliminations. Elimination streak coming out from Psychopath here, as he finds a 4th as well, but that is going to be it. Things are going to be closed out by Indian Wolves, and it is going to be a 3-1 victory here in favor of Indian Wolves. And, well, I mean, for Neverquit, I definitely can say one thing. They are, in my books, on the same page with everyone else here. I wouldn't be surprised that we're going to see Neverquit again in the semis and in the perhaps even sometimes in the finals.
That's definitely possible by this point. Like, they definitely proved themselves that they can hang with the best. I would still say this. They still need experience underneath their belt. They're going to need to play a lot more of these weekly cup series, and obviously we do have them. All you have to do is just register and come into play. So they're definitely going to continue on playing. I'm almost certain about that, because you can be very proud of what you've done today.
Well, I mean, for Neverquit, their plays are good. They're just slightly too late. Like, they start to come back into the match too late. The sort of shift in the pace of the game is happening slightly too late for them. They have a good start, but then they sort of crumble. All right, but let's have a look at the MVPs, though, in the meantime, and see, is it Psychopath again for Neverquit, or is it someone else this time? Did he give any opportunities? No, he didn't. 14 eliminations, 1 assist, and 9 deaths for Psychopath, and that's like a just insane amount of eliminations one single player can get within a day. And on the side of Indian Wolves, we do have Ravi ready with 146 points, 8 eliminations, 3 assists, and 6 deaths. So overall, on Skyscrapers, obviously Indian Wolves have come out on top here, but I must say, again, towards those latter stages of the game, Neverquit started to rack up the pace, and it seems like when the pressure is really on for them, they can really bring it to the table. So the question is of them just learning how to do it from the very beginning, and I think they'll find great success in the future.
And I guess you could also just say, simply at that, Neverquit. I think one of the reasons why they were able to make the comebacks at those latter stages is because Indian Wolves, they kind of let go of themselves. They think, oh, we pretty much got this one. We don't need to try as hard as we might have beforehand. And I think that's also one of the main reasons why a team like Neverquit were able to prove themselves here.
All right, well, as we are thinking about going into the finals here, before that, we are going to go into a brief intermission just to take a breather from these exciting matches, just to recoup ourselves and hopefully give you enough time to grab a drink, grab a beverage, and we'll be right back after these few moments.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. And Beneficus,
I'm a unicorn.
you're not a unicorn.
I'm
You're
a unicorn.
not a unicorn. You're a Guns of Boom caster. It's infuriating with
No, it's
you,
not.
but
All
yeah,
right, I'm a
please
mess.
put it on
I'll put it
properly.
on properly.
It is
There
a
we go.
birthday. It is the Guns of Boom 2-year birthday, and Beneficus, don't make fun of it. It's a special occasion,
is.
folks. It is a special occasion for all of us here, and we do hope you've been enjoying the birthday as well as the broadcast thus far. But here, we have finally reached grand final time, and it's been a long time coming, but here, we do have the two teams, and it's falling apart again.
Yeah.
We got to put it back up.
All right.
There
well,
you go. Much better.
Let's have a look at the brackets and see how we got here, just in case if anyone is joining or just tuning in right and now. So the first match of the day was held between Indian Wolves and Cyclone GG, where Cyclone GG came out on top with a 2-0 victory. But I must say, Indian Wolves did put up a decent fight. In the meantime, though, on the other hand, we did have Unkilled going up against In Never Quit, where Never Quit were able to steal a map off their shoulders, but Unkilled did prevail and therefore advanced to the grand finals, which we'll see in a brief moment. But before that, we did have that third, fourth place match happening. Pretty intense, I must say, considering that Indian Wolves did pick up a map with a technical victory, as Never Quit had issues of joining Farming Complex. And then afterwards, they were able to follow up with two more there. But for Never Quit, they did steal one map off the shoulders of Indian Wolves, indicating that potentially we might see more of them very shortly here.
Yeah, I mean, in that, if you were to talk about a third and fourth place decider, Indian Wolves versus Never Quit, I predicted it to be a 3-0 victory. I was kind of close. 3-1 victory.
Kind of close, doesn't
Yeah, kind of, but it's close.
All right.
It's kind of close. And with that 3-1 victory coming into play, I am quite surprised to say I'm definitely going to have to look forward for a team like Never Quit to maybe pop up on our, semifinal stage. I think it's going to happen more so often with the experience they've garnered here and with the players they have in their position. Like, obviously, Psychopath is one of them. We're going to have to look forward for this team and see what they're capable of.
All right, so for these grand finals, right now we are going to be jumping into Farming Complex. So between Cyclone GG and Unkilled, it's super important for either side to grab the victory here, because obviously you'll get those 100 points early on. You'll get their first position in the standings. The pressure is going to be up on whoever loses that first map in this best of 5 scenario. And of course, a lot of it is going to ride as to how these teams actually approach the late game. So a huge pressure on the shoulders of Unkilled as to how they will be able to perform against Cyclone GG, who have, mind you, already established their position in Brazil as well as one of the participants. So do let us know in the chat, please, who will win in this best of 5. Is it going to be Cyclone GG that Danny is so fond of, or is it going to be actually Unkilled that are going to come out on top of this as the first players have left the server?
Listen, Beneficus, you say I'm fond of Cyclone GG?
Yes.
For good reason. I'm fond of greatness. I love greatness.
No.
What do you mean?
You are a fan of only the guys that win.
Because they're great.
Is that your point?
I mean, they're great. They win. They're lovable people. I'd love to meet them in real life. And I'm certain that's one of the reasons I enjoy them.
I'm all for the underdog. I want to see the big guys that are always like, we're going to win this one, just being upset continuously about the fact. And we have a dancing contest again on our screens. You can see Moriarty there showing us the moves very quickly.
Not bad.
As the guys are just waiting for the players to join back in there. So, yeah, not bad moves.
I'd say the Indian Wolves breakdance battle was a bit better. I'll give this one
they had
a 5 out of 10.
They had the synchronicity better there, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, they had the sync of the two players like doing the same moves at the same time.
And they also had the G-Launcher explosive as well in the middle
Yes.
of it. That was
Yes.
impressive.
It was
Michael
it
Bay
was
impressive.
just like fireworks and stuff. It gives you a good background, like we have, for example.
Yeah,
Great
this is
background.
a fine background, as we do also have, the celebration here for the birthday.
What do you even call that?
I don't really know.
Is the celebratory triangles chat? How do you call the thingy, this thing?
A poor man's confetti? I don't know.
Poor man's confetti.
I guess that's one way to go about it.
No. Okay. Enough. All right. Well, hopefully the players will be able to jump back into the servers soon enough here, because I really can't wait for that best of 5. I want to see who takes the initiative here and who'll be able to follow up on it, because again, in that best of 5 scenario, and there's so many difficult maps here as well. Farming complex, that Saloon game in that third, fourth place battle was just insane. So for between these two, well, on paper, it should be even a lot better, considering that the level is technically higher. Looking back from the previous split, then again, it is a fresh start for everyone. So hopefully, I hope that Unkilled can find the force within them to really challenge Cyclone GG and to force them as well just slightly out of their comfort zone.
But it's going to be quite difficult, I'll say this, for the Unkilled roster for one very simple reason. They've lost their best player and one of the best players in the entire spring split. So for them, we even saw them have a kind of close game there against, the Never Quit guys.
Yes.
And that tells quite a bit. How is a team of relatively unknown players are able to put you to a 2-1? That's quite uncommon, I guess you'd call it.
For the side of Unkilled as well, it's pretty much the same story as for Indian Wolves picking up Skilled right now, right? So for Unkilled, they also have a new man in their team.
True.
And the question is how, again, this player fits in, and has he even played against the likes of Cyclone GG before? And also, does he individually feel pressured? And if he stalls to fall behind, does the team have his back in terms of just motivating him enough to just not feel pressured and to really put up those valuable points and eliminations on the screen? And again, playing on Farming Complex, it's a lot is going to be on the rotations and recognizing the correct time, the correct opportunity when to rotate, when you can leave a capture point captured and move on to help your team. And I wonder who really calls those shots for those teams as well, because like, is it like a sort of group effort where they come to a conclusion together, or like, B capture point right now is a problem, we need to move on, everyone on that point right now? Or is it more like, okay, this is happening, this is what's happening on my capture point, you stay behind, we'll handle it. Let's have a look at it, how this all plays out. Farming Complex, ladies and gentlemen, grand finals, first week of the summer split. Farming Complex control points. Let's go.
Let's get it on, folks, as we do have already some early engagements here on the B control point, and it's kind of working out well here for Cyclone GG. They have been able to capture themselves the B control point as well as take over C.
Heisenberg single-handedly tried to make a difference there. Unfortunately, was unable to do so as the B capture point still remains in control of Cyclone GG. Lionheart here somehow stays alive after the G launcher even gets an elimination and is going to go for the capture, but unfortunately, Heisenberg just simply has too much health to for Cyclone to deal with.
This is going to be an interesting scenario here. Unkilled, they're not slowing down, they're going in here, they're making sure the C control point stays in their name, and it will for now at least. However, with this ultra aggression here on the C control point, they've completely abandoned B and A, and that is problematic. A right now is going in favor here of Cyclone GG. Finally, Blaze is here, but as he does find one of these eliminations, he's quite low HP. He's being hunted down by Lionheart, and he will be going down, Blaze. But still, we're seeing a lot of these engagements going on here. A good flank coming in from Unkilled, but they still have the control points working out for them.
Yeah, you can see Unkilled really are struggling right now. They're looking to recapture these points. They need to do it fast because there's still 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, but they're behind by 100 points right now. They do find elimination onto Heisenberg here and are going to capture that C point. In the meantime, though, A is already in control of Cyclone GG, and so is B currently being contested. Moriarty can't really do much here as both Extraordinary and Gunner finding those eliminations. Heisenberg, even with the G launcher, comes out on top.
Now we are seeing the POV here of Blaze. He's going to make sure Lionheart doesn't get it, but he finds two with a G launcher. I would have loved to see that from his POV, but and now we can only say the fact that that was quite the amazing flurry of eliminations. But here, this is surprising though. You know, the players there from Unkilled, they're able to hang here with the best of Cyclone GG. However, as we do see some of these plays coming in here, it's now a 170-point difference between the two teams. And now the control points, at least one of them, is definitely going to be going here in favor of Cyclone GG. That's going to be B.
Gunner even merciless in that situation, and for Unkilled, they're really struggling like now as all three control points are in favor of Cyclone GG. C capture point is going to be currently contested, but you can see that the players are already on the rotation, and Gunner with the perfect aim is going to quickly take care of Gunnar Kunrag there, unfortunate for him, as even Exorder finds the follow-up, and Gunner on an elimination streak. I mean, Gunner is having such a good game right now, sitting already at 190 points, and Exorder as well, 204 for him. It looks like Cyclone GG will have a very clean victory in a match that started off quite hectically. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Cyclone GG grabbed the first victory in Farming Complex here, opening things up for themselves and for Unkilled. I think they feel just slightly lost there at one point.
I mean, the early stages, yeah, that was pretty competitive there between the two teams, but at the end of it all, it was pretty much the Cyclone GG running away with it. And, I mean, one of the important things that we definitely can mention from that matchup is obviously the players stepping up. And
Yes.
at one point, they did capture all 3 control points. That is pretty rare when you have teams on a similar caliber.
They did it twice.
Twice even.
They
That is
did it
really
twice.
impressive.
I mean, that's a feat of its own, of course. And as well, when you have all 3 capture points in your control, the points are ticking away so fast in your favor. And that's why you see these 300, 400 point leads even sometimes. And as well for Cyclone GG, I mean, Unkilled is not really a roster in general, something that they would don't know how to play against. And this really shows as well that they had a very clear game plan in their mind as to how they want to approach this. And then afterwards, all that they did to do was, as soon as someone tried to go for that contest, as you saw previously done from by Kunrag on C capture point, there were instantly 2 Cyclone GG players already there, and Gunner as well was very good at staying alive. He was even merciless there for a brief moment. But let's have a look at the MVPs and see if it's actually Gunner there or Exorder from Cyclone GG that comes out on top. And also interesting to see. All right, it is going to be actually Exorder, 228 points from him for the side of Cyclone GG. Eliminations, 11 and 5 assists. Notably, only 6 deaths.
Yeah, even though deaths don't really make that much of a difference, but it's still pretty nice,
Well,
you know,
it's
to
points that you haven't given
yeah,
away.
that's points that you haven't given away. We could put it at that. But here, for Unkilled, we do have Lionheart with 178 scores, 7 eliminations, 5 assists. I mean, there's not that big of a difference, to be honest, between the 2 MVPs, all things considering. It's still just a couple eliminations apart.
Yeah.
But in the game itself, it was a massive difference at one point. I think it might have been even 500-point difference between the 2 teams.
Yeah,
that was pretty big.
You really don't see that. And for Unkilled as well, looking now on towards the next map, how do you come back into that just mentally? You just lost a game by 500 points. Nearly half of what is required to win. So this does indicate that perhaps control points is still something that Unkilled really need to think about how they're going to work on. Still, this does not put them in any lesser position in my books. I really feel like that Unkilled can go head-to-head with these Cyclone GG players. Of course, Cyclone GG, yet again, proving to their organization that was established during the last weeks there in still the spring split, that they are a very worthy opponent, and there's all the reasons in the world why they have made it so far to guarantee they're sitting in Brazil.
Yeah, and we obviously know that they finished the last season, I do believe, with 650 points. Imagine, if you get yourself 650 points, that means that they've only lost the grand final 2 times out of 7 weeks. So that is a very impressive scoreline, all things considering. They could be very happy with their performance last season. But here, I mean, already doesn't look like they've slowed down any bit. It looks like it's pretty much the exactly same competitive, amazing Cyclone GG we have seen last season.
Yeah, well, for Unkilled, they really need to up the tempo. So question is, how can they do that on Military Warehouse?
That's the thing. Can you really up the tempo in Military Warehouse? Because, again, it's Team Deathmatch. You can obviously go for some of the early engagements early on, but later on, you know, from what we have seen, when it's a very important map and it's Team Deathmatch, you're going to be seeing teams going for a bit of a camping style, but I can't really blame them. They don't want to give away free eliminations. And here we go, folks. Our second map here of the best of 5 grand final is going to be Military Warehouse. And we will see who's going to start things off well. I think it might be Cyclone GG, but here the Unkilled roster, or actually, no, it's actually Cyclone GG.
It's just going to be a quick reset. That probably had a slight problem. Hopefully no technical victories here, because I really want to see this be a pure battle between these two. I think one of the approaches how Unkilled can try and do this on Military Warehouse is if they post if they post two players on either side of the map, just as lookouts, or just to see what sort of situations are happening towards the sides of the map, and they put two players in the middle going through that building, and then see which sort of side they go for a flank. So for the other team's perspective, then they're going to see that there's a player in the distance. They're going to start to think about how can they manage that, and should they push them. If they group up to push him, then they'll instantly get flanked by two players from behind. So you're going to have that pincer situation happening again, and like that's the ideal scenario. You just essentially set up a trap for your opponent, and then of course trap them and eliminate them. But I think that's one of the openings as to how they could potentially try and open the match up, because afterwards, if you get that early lead, as you already said, then the pressure is on the other guys to really bring it to the battle to you, and then afterwards you can do what Never Quit did and just stick together as a four-man group and not really allow yourself to lose any unfavorable trades.
Yeah, we have seen, one of the things we have noticed is that teams, they have been sticking together at the early stages here in Military Warehouse, not going for, some sort of split of maybe two groups. It's just been a clump of 3 or even 4 players sticking together with the sniper rifles out, and they're hoping to find the early eliminations that way. That is definitely a formidable strat, but again, when you're clumped up together as 4 players, you can get very easily eliminated by the grenade, by an explosive, so you have to be very careful to keep the distance.
The G-launchers are a huge threat, though, in that situation, so you really also need to be ready to split as soon as the rocket hears soaring your way, so hopefully no crucial mistakes in that sense will be made, but then again, it will be so good for the highlights.
Oh yeah, the highlight reel. I'd love to see one from actually the spring season, because there were definitely highlight plays here in the Southeast Asia region.
There was even a triple elimination with the G launcher, wasn't it?
I think there might have been. There had
to
be one, to be honest. Like, we've seen so many games, so many plays. I think there had to be a play like that. It is quite a memorable one. I think it might have happened on Paradise Island. Could it be?
Could have been. It's really hard to say right now. I mean, there's been so many matches that we've seen in such a short time span. So hopefully we'll be able to do that as well here, as still Cyclone GG are trying to join back the map here. But again, Team Deathmatch, overall, I must say that it slightly favors Cyclone GG here, just because of the Heisenberg factor. Heisenberg had the most amount of eliminations during the spring split, that is. So question is, we'll be able to do that again here. But let's give it another try here on Military Warehouse. Team Deathmatch, map number 2 in this best of 5 series. And first strikes already have been made. So Unkilled actually opened things up, but Cyclone GG have been able to follow up very quickly as both Exorder and Gunner find the eliminations that they are looking for. Moriarty and Lionheart sticking together will spot Blaze. Blaze up close with the shotgun. Actually, Heisenberg comes out on top there as Blaze even gets the Blade Master very quickly. 50-point lead for Cyclone GG right now. As I say that, though, Rakesh, excellent double elimination coming out from him. Even spots Exorder. The G-Launcher from the grave does get him as Lionheart finds the follow-up onto Heisenberg.
This is looking pretty solid right now for Unkilled. I mean, Cyclone GG players did have themselves a solid lead early on here, but the Unkilled squad is able to make a bit of a comeback here. I guess you could call it. Blaze, he will be taken down by the Incinerator, as does do the flame damage. But here, Unkilled, they're actually coming back into this matchup, but didn't expect that to be the case. Rakesh now. And the G-launches from Heisenberg, of course. You love to see it happen.
Even gets the third there on top as well. Finds Moriarty, even gets the elimination streak. That's
ridiculous.
Huge from Heisenberg for Cyclone GG. That's just completely ridiculous. How can one man just come in and completely wipe the opposing side? Another G-launcher coming out from Gunner as the Exorder now pushing towards their opponent's base. Has the help of Gunner there as well. And Moriarty finds his doom with his own grenade. The worst of times when to do that.
Horrible, really. This is a moment where the Unkilled players, they need to find the eliminations on the opponents, not on themselves here. Lionheart, he will find the elimination there on Blaze, and this is still a pretty good scenario here for Cyclone GG. At one point, they were in a pretty difficult scenario, but here they finally bounced back thanks to the plays there from Heisenberg, and he's going for more. A double elimination to boot, and now the team's leading by 100 points.
All right, Gunrag was expecting for Heisenberg to peek there again and did find his opportunity to take care of him. Now Gunnar on the prowl. Hears that the player is just behind the wall there. Will find elimination, but very quickly will be traded by Lionheart here as Exhorter now fighting in this 1v2. Will find Moriarty. Moriarty will find him with the Blade Master in return. So Cyclone GG overall, whilst the trades are backwards and forwards right now, it's acceptable for them as they still have a 130-point lead. And with 2 minutes on the clock, Unkilled really have to come up with some sort of a game plan. That G-Launcher will find Blaze, leaving Heisenberg on such low a health that Gunrag very easily finds the follow-up there. The double elimination from Gunrag. He could find potentially the triple here right now as he engages. And Rakesh comes in with a helping hand. Gunrag, unfortunately, sitting on very low HP, needs to be very wary of the fact that the grenade is close by.
But this is a scenario where Cyclone GG, they should be able to come out on top here. Not sure what happened there, but Exhorter does find the elimination. Right now, it's just 15 more points. Cyclone GG will come out victorious if they secure one more elimination. That's all it's going to take. Exhorter should get it, or it might just even be Blaze. It is going to be the latter. And that will be 509 points for Cyclone GG and a victory to boot.
Indeed. So 2 maps already in favor of Cyclone GG, and for Unkilled, really it's do or die right now. They need to regroup themselves. I really think it felt like they have been mentally thrown off slightly by the fact of how they lost that first map. So it was really hard for them to compete in a lengthier battle with Cyclone GG in this team deathmatch mode, because like they did trade initially quite good, then afterwards Cyclone GG managed to find a roughly about 120-130 point lead, and essentially as long as they could have upkept that, which they did by continuously trading it out, meaning finding one elimination and afterwards being eliminated, but you have your teammate behind who does the same, the points eventually do favor Cyclone GG, and they take a very clean victory in this map. So let's have a look at the MVPs, though. Danny, any guesses?
I don't know. Maybe Heisenberg?
Maybe Heisenberg. Well,
there we go.
You are absolutely right. Cyclone GG Heisenberg, 206 points, 11 eliminations, 6 assists, and only 5 deaths in a team deathmatch scenario.
That's impressive.
Indeed. On the side of Unkilled, though, Rakesh, 136 points, 9 eliminations of his own, 2 assists, and 9 deaths. Obviously could have done better, but still a very decent amount of points, considering you only need 500. 136 is not a bad job, meaning someone else could have done better on his side. So pretty good scenario so far for Cyclone GG, so they must feel comfortable. But here comes the true test. Saloon, Wild West Saloon, the ever-present, ever-nuisance-filled flank, like balconies, explosions, jumping down from the balconies between 3 opponents, G-launchers all the way. Do you think can Cyclone GG follow up here, or will Unkilled finally come out on top in Wild West Saloon?
I think Cyclone GG, they are going to be able to come out on top. I'm saying it again. Even though, a map like Saloon, we have seen a lot of these close quarters engagements. We have seen a lot of these scenarios where an underdog comes out on top on Saloon. Is this going to be the case? I don't really think so. I mean, I might remember maybe a couple instances where a team like Cyclone GG did lose a map like Saloon, but I don't think this is going to be the instance. This is probably one of the weakest opponents they have faced in the grand final scenario, so I think Cyclone GG has got everything working out for them, and they should come out on top.
All right, well, jump. Let's not waste any time anymore. Wild West Saloon on our screens. We are going to see so much action. The players are going to be jumping onto the balconies, onto the capture points, as you see the Wild Buffalo there, indicating that the match will begin in just a few seconds. There's already the first action happening here. Heisenberg making that first strike, finding Lionheart. Instantly, Rakesh now stuck on the capture point as Gunnar will find Moriarty and finds the follow-up onto Rakesh as well here. Even looking for his turret as he sees Gunnar stuck behind that counter there. And Gunnar is unaware of the fact that Gunnar is literally next to him, finding those first points and already a 15-point lead. Oh my god, Gunnar!
That was a fine shot. Indeed, he pulls out the Barracuda to get the fadeaway shot. And this is now a great scenario for Cyclone GG. They are able to hold the control point, but there's going to be a couple trades happening here. It's Gunnar coming in with the Barracuda. He's doing a fine job here in the Saloon area. But Cyclone GG, they already have a very formidable lead. The Unkilled players, They are going to be trying to recap the point. Not sure if that's going to be successful anytime soon. Heisenberg is here. He is the one who's finding the eliminations here, and he pulls out the Odin and the G-Launcher to work with, but he won't find it. Cycling GG looking pretty strong here, but Unkilled. They have taken
Oh
over,
my
and
God,
Blaze is
Blaze!
there. The G-Launcher and also the Blade Master to
triple!
boot.
Oh
He's not joking around. Blazy will finally be taken out of the equation, but he's done some fine work here.
170 points in a minute and a half. Less than that for Blaze here as now Gunner finds one. Did deal so much damage that Blaze and Exorder can clean up here. And for Unkilled, all they can do right now is look how the points are ticking away because they can't even make it to the capture point. But as I say that now, Rakesh finding 2 eliminations. Moriarty able to follow up. Gunner though with the G-Launcher very quickly trades and even gets the follow-up here. He's ablaze right now, so needs to run away and find valuable cover. Even stays alive, so that's still bullets that he can make use of.
And look at this, what a lead right now for Cyclone GG. And it doesn't look like they're going to be slowing down anytime soon. In fact, they're going to pour in more coal to the train as they're going to continue on with the aggressive plays. Sort of finally does go down, but look at this, like Gunner, he has survived here for a very long time here in the Saloon. He will be taken out of the equation, but this is a fine opportunity here for Unkilled. They finally respawn, they are able to retake the control point, but can they hold it off? That is the question. They're going for the aggressive plays. There's Exorder jumping down from the balcony, but he won't find a single elimination. In fact, Unkilled do come out on top, but for how long?
I don't know, as Heisenberg now is going to be stuck in no man's land between these two players. Lionheart on the elimination streak here as well, hiding behind the piano there, looking to see if he can spot these opponents early, as Exorder now on the flank will be able to take care of Lionheart. Gunner now finding a elimination of his own, and Exorder is on an elimination streak. This is slipping away from Unkilled as Cyclone GG are approaching the 1,000 point mark. Exorder is on an elimination streak as well. Pretty much everyone from Cyclone GG has been or are on an elimination streak, and that is a very quick GG on our screens. 3-0. 3-0. Cyclone GG. Hello? Can you even like give some sort of hope for Unkilled?
3-0, and that is why this is the team that has made it to the Brazil finals. That is why they had a dominant streak in spring. Sure, that's one way to celebrate about it. They are victorious here, and they have done a solid job to prove us that they're the clear #1.
Indeed. Well, you can't deny it. You saw it for yourself as well. 3-0 in a very dominant fashion. I mean, that second map, well, looking at the first and the third is sort of like, but, I mean, this third, the way how everyone was on elimination streak, Gunner especially. Gunner stayed alive for so long. I'm pretty sure he got like back-to-back triple eliminations.
Possibly.
And I think he might be on our MVP screen. If we may please have a look at that.
And on the MVP screen, we are going to be seeing the aforementioned Gunner. In fact, he does only have the 5 deaths. So yes, not only he did a solid job at finding the eliminations, but he maintained his life for as long as possible, only having 5 deaths. It is quite impressive here in King of the Hill.
Crazy stuff coming out from Gunner there. And for the side of Unkilled, Lionheart, with the heart of a lion, indeed tried to battle it out single-handedly and, of course, together with his team as well. But unfortunately, just simply couldn't prevail, still providing 162 points, 10 eliminations, and 9 assists. I mean, valuable input, of course, but I can't really recall a time where I've seen from Cyclone GG that every single player was on an elimination streak. Pretty sure that at least 3 out of the 4 players got triple eliminations. Gunner even got like back-to-back triple eliminations. And the merciless factor, of course, on top meant that Unkilled really like had such a huge problem of getting to those capture points, and what again started off in a very similar fashion pretty much as something that finished off with just a complete dominance from Cyclone GG. And indeed, as the name states, they just simply took this as a storm of players coming through their opponent, and obviously securing those first 100 valuable points in the standings, as well as finding $400. So let's have a look at the brackets just to quickly remind you guys one more time how this all went down today, because we are almost just about done, but the day did begin with the match between Cyclone GG and Indian Wolves, where Cyclone GG came out on top with a 2-0 victory, advancing to the finals there, where they met Unkilled, who did manage to defeat Never Quit, even though they dropped a map, but it didn't matter, as also Unkilled found themselves in those grand finals. Before the grand finals, we saw the match for that third place, where Indian Wolves were able to find great success in a super dominant fashion, but they also had one of those technical victories in the middle there, so 3 against 1 in that series. And now, of course, following up on the grand final that we just saw, Cyclone GG, I mean, proving a point, I think, to everyone in this split again, that they are a absolute force to be reckoned with, finding a 3-0 super confident victory over Unkilled.
Yeah, a true powerhouse here in the Southeast Asia region. They've proven yet again. As right now, I mean, a stellar start thus far. This is, the very first week here of the summer split. And, with the summer split first week being over here, again, like, it's the clear number 1 that is sitting on the first place finish.
Speaking of our first place finishes, let's have a look at the standings and see how this all plays out. Now, this is pretty much a sketch of what's to come these following weeks. Cyclone GG have started off with a victory here, as already previously mentioned. 100 points for them, 75 points for Unkilled. And as you can see, this new thing about the 3rd and 4th position, there are 50 points for Indian Wolves, only 40 for Never Quit, and Hypersonic, previously known as Prestigious, are currently in the 5th position with 25 points. So for Hypersonic, they need to really think about how they can follow up on this and really, well, change the current situation, right?
Sure, and obviously it's not only Hypersonic who are sitting on 25 points, it is all the teams that finished in the 5th, 8th place that are pretty much, the ones that lost the quarterfinals. That is why they end up getting all of them 25 points, which isn't too bad, but it's obviously not a finish at the top 4.
It's something to work with, right? You can definitely build upon the fact that you already at least have some amount of points. You already have an advantage over everyone else that didn't get to have any. So we can only, of course, hope the best for everyone here in this summer split, that they'll be able to rack up those valuable points and see who does get to that next major event. So, I mean, for Cyclone GG, they're probably going to be celebrating right now, as we are celebrating still the 2-year anniversary. And Danny, do you have anything that you would like to add to this?
Well, obviously, I guess one of the things we can talk about is that, yeah, Southeast Asia, we've done it here again, 1 week being over here, but obviously it's not over here for the other regions of the world. We obviously still have Europe. We will also have North America, and obviously from what I've heard, a little birdie told me there's a possibility there could be a certain Stannis visiting a certain place where there could be the matches happening. So, guys, tune on into the European as well as North American broadcast, as you might be surprised to see who is there on the desk.
Yeah, you never know who ends up commenting on these games, and who knows, perhaps one day even alongside of ourselves. So I hope everyone really had a great time today. Of course, Summer Split indeed has started off with really high velocity games here and a lot of action happening. And I mean, looking at these teams, we know that it can only get better from this point, meaning that our voices will probably just go at one point, or at least during one match. Same as for one of the teams during the end of this split.
Yeah, there's some high-octane Guns of Boom still going to be happening here. They're going to be happening throughout the entirety of the summer split. So, guys, be sure to tune in to these matches moving forward.
And not to lose any matches, make sure you follow us on our social media. But until then, I, V, and Danny, I think we're going to say a goodbye to you, and thank you everyone for joining in. Make sure you follow on the other streams as well, just not to miss any of those action-packed games, and also to get a good idea as to what will go down soon enough on 8th of June in Brazil.